You were right, Lucian declared at last. That girl I knew did die under the mountain. I wasn't sure if it was an insult, but I nodded all the same. At least we can agree on that. I stepped into the awaiting cold and dark.
Hi, and welcome to Twin Flames Between Worlds podcast. My name is Tabitha.
And I'm Liesl.
Hi, and welcome back to our second episode of Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J Maas.
Woohoo!
Welcome back. Oh my god, I know I said this with Akamath, Mist and Fury, but I feel like now every other Sarah book just gets me so hyped because I'm so excited, and especially this one. So I'm so excited to talk about this with you.
I'm excited. I loved reading it, so.
Oh, 100, rereading it even. It's like my 10th time now.
Yeah, I definitely haven't reread this one as much, but I'm going back and doing like highlighting for stuff.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I also have a couple years on you, so with this, so we will be going over chapters 9 to the end of chapter 14 today. So let's give a little recap about what happened last time. So last time on A Court of Wings and Ruin, so we were back in the good old spring court in Feyre's perspective mostly. I mean, it started out with Rhys's prologue, which was cool, but it was mostly Feyre navigating the waters of being back at the spring court and her wonderful deception that we all appreciate.
Skillful. Yep, so skillful.
Beautiful, but also like hard at times when it comes to, you know, like the Sentry being whipped by the end of the book or end of the chapters that we did. And then just overall having to navigate the Highburn incest twins coming, Jurian coming.
You mean
the twincest, yes. I hate that there's a shorthand for that.
Me
that
too.
means it happens too often. Like, that's too much of a trope. I hate that that's a thing. Yeah, so we kind of like Jurian. Love-hate him. He's interesting to say the least. And of course, Lucian is, again, I cannot get over how dumb everybody is in terms of everybody thinking that Lucian and Feyre are having something going on. That's like the stupidest thing ever.
Everyone is so dumb. Jurian's the only one who can figure anything out, it seems.
But good to play on their ignorance.
That's true.
So yeah, like we left off at the Sentry getting whipped and then the sound of the court breaking from the inside. What a good visual.
Yeah.
Hate that it had to happen to that poor Sentry, but...
Poor Sentry didn't deserve that.
Yeah. So let's get right into chapter 9, shall we?
Yep, sounds fun.
So I love how the chapter starts with Ianthe wasn't done. I was
She's never done.
But I knew shit was going to hit the fan because I was like, oh wait, now she feels like she's entitled now because she won in that one moment.
So she thinks she wins by having someone else whipped?
I don't think a character has made either of us see as much. I mean, there's a couple of ones in the other Sarah books that is kind of similar, but this was my first time feeling that upset.
Yeah, I repeatedly when I've been like looking through like notes or doing like editing and that kind of stuff. It was just the other day I walked up to my mom mumbling and she's like, "What are you mumbling about?" And I'm like, "Fucking Ianthe." And then I just walked off and she's just like, "Okay then."
Well, sometimes me and my mom will just say that to it, just like, yeah. But like my mom will agree. She'll just be like, yeah. I hate. Well, now that my dad's in on it now, he's like, yeah, what a bitch.
He's finally in on it.
So he's in on it too. But yeah, so basically, I love how the immediate aftermath of the whipping is like, okay, let's all go in for, dinner or whatever. And Feyre is left to tend to the Sentry's wounds outside.
I'm very glad that she stayed.
I think it's one of those moments where, okay, it was to make the ruse better, but it was also genuine.
Right, she actually cared about them and felt bad for them.
Well, yeah, because this directly was a cause of her her scheming action. Like, obviously, Ianthe was the one who did it. She was the one who was the main cause, but it was because of Feyre's pushing.
Yeah.
So she feels guilty.
Yeah. And she's taking responsibility for that.
But it's kind of like how, honestly, this whole time, she's being like perfect Rhysand. Because he's doing something genuine, but he knows that there is also something to gain from helping them because it's breaking the Sentry's trust in Tamlin. So it's kind of like a win-win, but also sucks that
literally become like a Rhysand in the Spring Court.
I know, it's cool, but also it's so sad. I love how a really important thing is that Bronn and Hart, when they follow her, apologize for not helping before.
Yeah. And not just like before when like the study blew up, but like before when they saw it happening.
And okay, I'm not mad at them necessarily, but it's kind of one of those things where, yeah, you knew it was wrong, but I guess at least now you're recognizing it.
Yeah.
I guess.
More late than never.
Yeah, but it's like everybody's so blinded.
Yeah.
And then when they get the truth in their face, it's like, oh, yeah, remember that time that we didn't help her? Okay.
Yippee.
So yeah. So Ianthe decides, now this sucks, by the way. It works with her plan, but like Ianthe decides that her and Tamlin are going with them on their last trip to the third hole in the wall.
Don't trust him much, huh?
Oh, not at all. They're just like, yeah, we should all go. Like, let's make it a fun trip.
Whoopee.
She's probably upset that she decided to go
Yeah.
now. She's regretting that. Oh my god. But before they go, I love this apparently last scene with Alice. We don't know if we're going to see her again by the end of this book, but I'm thinking no.
It does kind of feel like a final goodbye.
It does. And I hate it, but I also love the scene.
Yeah.
So Alice is like giving her slides, but it's almost like she's giving her more slides because she knows Feyre is going to leave. Oh, she's so smart.
I love how in each of these 3 books, Alice has had an important scene that like is
I do
somehow Alice knowing.
Like it also just shows how the servants like probably know more than they let on all the time.
Like, the servants know more than Tamlin.
Oh hell yeah. Or they know about people's plight more.
Yeah.
So Alice is being a smart woman, and she's also leaving tomorrow as well because she knows things are gonna go. Yeah. So she's going back to Summer. I love how this is comical. She's like, yeah, don't tell Tarquin you know me well. Because like I have blood rubies with my name on it, and she's like, oh shit.
Wait, what? She's like, how did you get blood rubies?
It's like, what did you do? But she doesn't even ask.
No.
It's what she says here that warms my heart so much. She says, blood rubies or no, you will always have one friend in the Summer Court. And then Feyre says, and you will always have one in mine.
And they both knew she didn't mean the Spring Court.
Yeah, they both knew. Both hella knew. Oh my god.
I love Alice so much.
I do. I think she also, if I think about it, she's kind of the representation of Feyre constantly, I don't know, feeling like she's not above the lower fairies. And I think Alice knows that.
Yeah.
There's a constant equality that she knows that with her sort of help and being like how powerful and how high fae she is, that maybe there could be a cultural change. But as we know from the Illyrians, cultural change doesn't really happen very quickly.
No, it doesn't. I mean, it may a little bit, like maybe in other lesser fairies. Definitely not the Illyrians, but it's still like the same like feeling, same vibe. It doesn't happen quickly.
They all based on their leadership.
Yeah.
Which is why I actually think like Tamlin led such a poor example. I don't blame any really of the people in the Spring Court because they're following leadership.
They're following his orders, and he's like, wait, why are you following my orders? Why are you doing this? It's like, we're following what you said. It's like, yeah, why?
People follow their leaders, and if their leaders are also that way, I mean, that's why Autumn sucks ass. Like,
yeah.
As we see further down the line here.
Let's not even go into Autumn yet.
I know. I'm just saying, for example, it's all about leadership and leading. So they obviously next day they make it. The sentries are not looking at Tamlin at all, not even giving him half a glance. Then they're protecting Feyre,
which I love. They're clearly choosing their side.
It's like, High Lady of Spring, I would rather die. I was like, I'd rather not. Dude, I held back my tongue last book because I noted every time this happened, and I told this to Liesl pre-recording because obviously we read the book, but how did none of us notice the whole headache thing? I felt so dumb because rereading it only a second time, I noted every time. It is brought up like 4 times before this.
Yeah, and I didn't even notice it until I read it a second time.
I was like, oh my god, we're all dumb. But also, Sarah is somehow a genius for putting it out in broad daylight, but none of us really know knowing.
Right. Of like, oh,
Because,
it was dull ache, or, yeah, my head kind of throbbed, but it was probably because I wasn't sleeping enough or something like that.
well, also, we haven't ever seen, like, it's kind of the excuse I gave last time, is like, she's using so much power to protect everybody else and herself, glamour herself. Like, she's using so much magic, you'd think that, oh, that might be a good cop-out answer.
I mean, it's good that she has that much magic, but still, like, if she's never gotten headaches from using her power before, why now?
Right. It's...
And why did they start only when the Hybern Royals arrived?
I see. Oh, yep, none of us noticed.
Nope.
None of
I
us
wish I could
noticed.
say I did, but I did not.
I will let everybody know when I'm wrong, and I was definitely 100% wrong there. Funny as shit. Major power play. So when they're setting up tents and everything, guess who she asks to tent up with? She tents up. Oh my god.
So
she
I was
tents up with
hoping-
Ianthe.
Yeah, I was hoping so hard, like, though, when she said that she wanted to be with Ianthe, that she was gonna, like, beat her up or something.
And make it look like an accident or something.
Like,
I don't know.
she accidentally got suffocated by her pillow.
I was waiting. But it was also to spare Lucian too, because she wanted to keep an eye on her.
And the fact that she didn't want to be with Tamlin. That
Oh,
Tamlin
yeah.
wasn't even an option.
I feel like Anthe, that would have been a cool moment to see, because she would have been like, huh?
Yeah.
She'd been so confused. Oh, but like, she's sitting there, like, you know, during the night, thinking she wants to slit her throat at every opportunity. And we're all like, please do.
Please do. Like, we'll clean the knife for you.
Yeah, but then, of course, she remembers herself, or she reminds herself of the family that she has to return to, and she says all their names out loud. Which is, again, you wouldn't know this, but Game of Thrones reference. Arya used to talk about, for anybody that knows Game of Thrones, she used to say, like, the names of the people she'd kill every night. But in this way, it's different because she's talking about it's more of a positive. Okay, who do I return back to?
Right, rather than who she's killed.
Well, I mean, that list is too long. List is too long for her to give. She also scares the shit out of Ianthe the next morning because she's like cleaning her knife.
I laughed out loud at this. Not just cleaning her knife, staring at her while cleaning her knife.
I mean, I would be too. Like, it's full well knowing that Feyre is not who she tends to be.
It's so epic, though. Like, I can
she's
picture
like,
it clearly.
Oh yeah, because she's like the very sweet. You can't trust the enemy. You know, you can't trust when there's enemies afoot.
Specifically, enemies in your own tent.
Yeah, and she's like, well, Hybern's not our enemy. And then Feyre doesn't say anything. She just walks out of the tent, like, and then gives her that smile. Well, Ianthe is pro Hybern, so of course that would be.
Yeah, but still, it just shows where her loyalties lie clearly, which we already kind of knew, which sucks. But like, she's just like trying to casually tell Feyre, like, Hybern is not our enemy. Huh.
And I think Feyre was like in her mind, if she could have said something, she'd be like, ooh, I wasn't talking about Hybern, baby. I was talking about your ass. So, of course, the twins get to see the crack in the wall. And so, what's kind of weird about this is that she's left alone with them. I thought this was a little odd.
Yeah, why would Tamlin leave her alone with the Hybern Royals? Unless he actually trusted them, but I doubt that.
I feel like he just didn't give a fuck at this point, I think. I think he was so mad.
Yeah, probably.
That I don't think he cared.
Or maybe it was kind of along the lines of, like, bargain that he made with the king of, like, having Feyre work with the king. So
maybe
it's like,
he thought, yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe he thought that, like, we talked about this last book, last episode. That bargain was from the king. I doubt that if they want, I mean, they did hurt her, like, as we, like, soon find out. So, like, that was bull.
Yeah.
Like, no bargain let it happen. So,
here
that
we
was
are
a big
trying
loophole.
to defend Tamlin when really he doesn't deserve our defending.
Oh, no, he just didn't care. I don't think it was malice, and I don't think it was out of a goodness. I think it was neutrally just he didn't care.
Which he claims so much about caring.
Bro, wild. The illusion is broken. We've been over this. Like,
yeah.
He does not gain our sympathies anymore. But
nope.
So Lucian and Tamlin are off, like, hunting or something, and like Ianthe went to go pray and whatever.
Time to offer things to the cauldron.
And so Feyre is left with the twins at the wall, and they're like talking, and she's like letting them monologue because before she goes, she wants to find out plans, numbers, people. We need to get actual names. So as they're talking, okay, this sounds really dumb to say out loud. Our whole idea of we thought their plan was, okay, the cauldron's gonna the wall so that their armies can come across, which makes sense. But sorry, this sounds like really dumb when I think about it. It's like that's what the point was, but there's more to it that they're not saying.
I think it's interesting because remembering what you wrote in your note of like the idea that the cauldron needs to study the wall to be able to break it. Because I guess I hadn't really considered that that, but the wall did come up like after like the cauldron was like disappeared and stuff. So technically, in a way, if we're thinking about it, the wall is technically kind of new to the cauldron. So it adds into that sense of like sentient. It's a sentient being that needs to study something before it can take action.
Yeah, and if like we said this last episode, apparently the cauldron is weakened. So maybe it would have been able to just smash the wall before, but maybe it can't now.
Or maybe because
so it needs
what
time.
we talked about at the end of last book was that Nesta seemed to have like taken more than the cauldron was willing to give. So this may be a loose theory or like controversy or whatever, but what if Nesta, when she took like that too much from the cauldron, what if like she took something that the cauldron needed originally to just be able to break through the wall, and so thus now it can't, even if it gets up its power again, it can't break through it like it would have before or something.
That's why it needs to like study a hole, so that it needs to I see that because we don't really know anything about the cauldron, except
these are all just like theories and like curiosities.
Yeah, because a lot of people skip over that when they read it the first time about the whole needing to study. Is like that was the whole point of them going to the holes, because it's like, okay, which one would be best? So it also, I love how, I think it's Dagnan that brings it up. He says an object or person must have come through the wall at some point that was so high in power that it was able to get through. I know we saw a person before, but I missed the part that he said an object.
Yeah, I guess, that kind of went over my head as well. That's actually almost scarier than a person.
What if a person just threw the object at the at the wall and it went through and then made the hole? Because now that opens a new string of theories that somebody could say about it being an object,
right?
Not necessarily a person going through,
right? And if so, where did that object end up?
I don't know. Also, another point. So obviously, we get the idea that so that's a piece of information we didn't have before about cauldron, but now we got some numbers. So apparently, they have these allies on the continent of other Fae territories. They're saying that they have 200,000 people in their armies. That is way more than they thought.
Yeah, that's a lot more than Prithian, probably.
Oh, probably, yeah.
I guess I also, like, when I was, like, reading this, like, the first time, I had forgotten that there were Fae courts on the continent as well. Because this whole story, because we're with Feyre's point of view, is all about Prithian. So it's like, sometimes I forget that Prithian is just an island compared to continent.
Yeah, because if we're reminding the audience, there's 3 separate things. There's Big Continent, which is probably the biggest out of all 3. There's Hybern, and then there's Prithian. So the only thing we've really gotten from the continent is like the Human Queens area. We also got that one is like Neva, or where their dad is, apparently. We've gotten like a couple of like city names, but the 3 territories we do get, which if you look at your map, the top of the continent, it's Valahan, Monteser, and Rask.
Yeah.
And I guess, that I think we kind of said this last book, but remembering that 500 year ago war was like everybody, like it involved everybody. So it was like the same way the humans on Prithian's continent fought against the Fae above them, they had the same problem.
Right, which is why the walls span across the entire ocean, across all the continents.
Yeah. So it's the continent is very mysterious, to say the least, but it's bad because if they have them on that side and Hybern on that side, they could be hit from both sides.
Yeah, that'd be really bad.
Yeah, that's really, really bad. And I love how the twins they're just monologuing, which should have gave us a red flag. They were telling her all this.
Right, like they feel comfortable to tell her all this because they don't think she's going to be able to get away.
Yeah, it's
little did they know.
Well, yeah, so basically and we kind of talked about this last book, but we're getting a confirmation from Dagden here that Amarantha was just an experiment, bro. They sent her there to do whatever the fuck she wanted, to see. I love the important thing that he says here is to see what will break them.
Yeah.
Fucked.
That's horrifying. Amarantha broke Feyre so much, and for her to hear that she was just an experiment, holy shit.
That she wasn't even like the main course, it was just...
She probably wasn't even an appetizer.
Yeah. Yes. So that's bad. So everything is set, right? She's got all the information that she probably get from them.
Yeah.
She's got names, she's got a number, she's got the reason that they're breaking the wall in the first place, and that they plan to do it, which, I mean, that's still part of the plan. Let's not have that happen.
Yeah. Pretty good reconnaissance, though.
Mm-hmm. So she's set. She has all her information. She's getting the fuck out of there. Which I'll say this for like the third time today. I was surprised that it happened so quickly. I remember reading this the first time and feeling like she was in spring forever. Like it was like 8 chapters, dude. She wasn't there for that long.
Yeah, she was only there for a month.
But when you read it the first time, it makes it feel like it's longer because you're just like, oh my god, when is she gonna da-da-da? Because you never know when it's gonna end, and then when it gets there, it's like now reading it for the 10th time, I'm like, oh yeah, this is nothing.
Yeah, it goes way fast.
So she's got her escape plan. The escape plan basically was, everybody is in place. Everybody is away. She's by herself. Everybody's preoccupied with something. And she set up, I think I like, and I didn't bring this up last time, but I like the idea that she can set up memories before opening them up to them.
Yeah.
It's like, because she did that with the Sentry, and we didn't really talk about that. It's like she set up a memory, but she didn't open it to him till she needed to.
Right.
That's like a very cool use of that power. It's like setting up a pre-memory.
And waiting for it to post.
Yeah. Waiting for midnight to hit, and then it can be uploaded. So obviously she puts like things in the Sentry's mind so that it makes it seem like she is running away.
Yeah.
Because Tamlin and Ianthe didn't help her, or da-da-da. Like the Hybern Royals attacked her and that she fled.
Right. Pretty good plan for the most part.
So that's setting up the ruse, but also we're not idiots now. Like... We've got 2 SJM books under our belt. I knew that was going to go wrong 100%.
Yeah. Like, so many of her plans have gone, like, very smoothly. It's only a matter of time until something goes wrong.
Because she doesn't have anybody to back her up here, and of course she's going to miss something.
Yeah.
I will say, before this starts, I love how she takes Tamlin's knives. She takes the Illyrian knives back.
Because they weren't really his.
No, they were gifted to him, and he doesn't deserve them.
No, he doesn't. Maybe he used to, but definitely not anymore.
I still love that foreshadowing that we never really realized. It's like, oh yeah, the bandolier of knives that we always saw him with. Oh yeah, those are Reese's. It's like, oh bitch.
So many foreshadowings.
Not anymore. Okay, so this is the part where Liesl and I see red.
Oh, so ridiculous. We thought she was done with him.
So give us a break. We might get a little heated, but this is also the point. So let's not get too out of our heads, but we can. So I just hear back off, and I'm like, oh no.
I thought she was praying to the cauldron.
Yeah, she hears Lucian on Ianthe, so of course she has to protect him. She could leave at any moment, and she would have been fine leaving. None of this aftermath would have happened. She would have easily gotten away. I mean, I feel like something else would have happened, but
probably. But she couldn't leave Lucian.
Dude, like Lucian, even though knowing something was off with her, Lucian, I mean, he still treated her well these past few weeks.
Yeah,
probably more than a friend than he's ever really been.
True.
So, oh my god. So she just overhears them, and we're all like, ew, the laugh. She's, I thought you'd seek me out after the rite. He's like, that night wasn't the product of desire. Like, believe me.
Believe you me, I did not want to be there. God, I thought, they were, said that Ianthe had left Lucian alone since the rite. So why now?
It's because she said that she provoked her too much with flirting with him. Or, well, the misunderstanding that he liked her or something. Which, it's like she played it too well. Because Ianthe didn't like that. You're a mated male, but you don't talk to Feyre that way. Like, you're all lovey-dovey with her. It's like, okay... Oh, but dude, as soon as she heard, do not touch me, moved immediately.
100%. I mean, because I think she heard, Reese's voice in the way that Lucian said that, of, don't touch me. My own personal theory of that whole idea of hearing a male that, and I mean, Feyre does care about Lucian, so hearing a male that she cares about say "don't touch me" when related to Ianthe, she of course is going to see red anyway.
Because of course they're good men who are not just gonna, even though she's a full-blown bitch, there are men out in society now who are just, they won't hit a woman. They won't. Which I think is fair, but I also think that's very unequal.
Yeah.
Because women hit men all the time.
Men should be able to just defend themselves.
Again, last resort, obviously,
right.
But I feel like there should be an equality there that isn't there.
Right, as self-defense. If she hit him first, she should be able to defend himself.
I will say in this instant, there wasn't really anything he could do because we find out that he's shackled.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he couldn't really do anything there. But how did she get the shackles on him in the first? I guess it doesn't matter, but I wonder how
she trapped him in some kind of bullshit.
So, dude, but he's the same shackles. So these are the Gorsian shackles from Hybern. Who bitch she wanted to fight?
So on top of the whole, non-consensual touching that Ianthe was doing, like Feyre also probably saw Rhys hanging in the chains as well. Those specific chains. So of course, like I'm not saying obviously Rhys and Lucien are not the same person, but she's seeing similarities and she already hates Ianthe and wants to kill her. Lucien is a friend. Feyre has seen this kind of situation before, whether it be memory or in person. So she is just, Ianthe should have died here, in my opinion.
Oh, she got triggered 100%. So obviously when she gets into the clearing, she's like, what does she say exactly? I'm sorry. I need to get it exactly so I don't. Oh, that's enough is what she says. Dude, she walks in, sees the top of his pants are unbuttoned and his shirt is like fully, ooh. I fucking, bro, yeah, we're both, and the fact that she like still did, like she didn't give a shit. She's like, we'll return to camp when we're done. It's like, excuse me?
When we're done?
She
definitely, I don't think she's going to be returning to camp.
So, obviously, that makes Feyre act, because holy shit. Also, the disrespect in that statement, though, too, of, your lady said to not do something, and you're still doing it.
And on top of that, isn't like she's saying, like, we'll return to camp after we're done, while she's, like, trailing a hand down Lucien's chest?
Girl, no. Girl, no. This whole scene was epic, because the amalgamation of Feyre's powers here, of, like, she immediately struck.
Yeah.
Like, mind to mind. So I love how she's, like, you brought this up with the Hybern Royals last episode, but like, so when Feyre sees her mind, it's a mask over a face of decay. Finds such hideous thoughts around a trail of males she used her power or outright forced to bed, convinced of her entitlement to them.
Ugh, I don't even want to think about how many men she's forced.
I really don't either, so we're just gonna say it's a lot. So she goes into her mind, obviously, and, unshackle him. This is like full-blown mind control at this point.
Which is what she had learned to fear originally. And she hasn't really done this before. Like, yeah, she, like, soothed Tarquin's thoughts, but she had never, like, really controlled the body. But at this point, it's past anger. She's past seeing red. She's at that lethal calm, where her power, like, is completely under her control, like what happened in the attack on Valaris.
Oh, yeah. I love the symmetry of her breaking Ianthe's hand, because it like, reminds us of Rhys's moment with her when he did that. I mean, obviously, this was way worse than what he did.
Oh, yeah.
And she makes her so that she doesn't, like, cry out or anything to make any noise. So Ianthe's just sitting there banging a fucking rock against her hand over and over again.
While silently crying because she can't make a sound.
And I love because again, stuff is specific in this world. You will never touch another person against their will. You will never convince them that they truly want your advances, that you're playing game. You will never know another touch until they initiate, unless it's desired by both sides. You'll tell everybody here that you fell.
So casual. It's like, I'm not sure how, if you broke your hand falling, that's a really bad fall.
See a busted up fucking hand with like a rock indented. I just fell.
I landed on a rock.
Oh my god, hilarious. We're both like just like, yeah, finally.
Finally she's getting them comeuppance.
So she can't also go to the healer, but every time you look at your hand, you're going to remember that touching people against their will has consequences. And if you do everything you will cease to exist. You will live with that terror every day and never know where it originates. Only the fear of something chasing you, hunting you down, and waiting for you the instant you let your guard down. Holy fuck.
Feyre's mad.
That's way different than Rhysand just throwing her out with the clothes.
Oh yeah, 100%. And Lucian's just standing there. What the fuck?
Oh yeah, he's looking on in horror.
Yeah.
About time is all I have to say.
I agree.
About time. About fucking time. And so Ianthe's just like kneeling there, and she's like, yep, I debated splitting your throat, whatever. It's like, I hope you live a long, long life. And then okay, dude, whenever we feel like we had a win, of course, we're having like an uh-oh moment. So the twins come out of the shadows from the woods.
All like know-it-all of like entrance. That's what you call Daimati.
Did Lucien not know what a fucking Daimati was? Because if he didn't, then I don't know where he's been for the last how old he is. Like, he might not have. I feel Lucien, anybody in the Spring Court doesn't know jack.
Well, that's already true. And the fact that he wasn't like in the main war, so he probably didn't see.
Probably, and I feel like Rhys is the only one that we know of.
Right, because he's old enough for that.
Or like as an actual Daemati, which I don't think any of the other High Lords are, or anybody in their immediate. No, I don't think so.
Right, but like as Rhys said, I think in that first like initial walking around of like, yeah, we're called Daemati, that kind of thing. It's like there's not many of us, but there's enough that people in high power have trained against the skill set. So it's like, but I feel like then in that sense, Lucien obviously doesn't have any walls, like mental shields.
Yeah, which is why she had to protect her and him and Tamlin both at the dinner.
That's kind of pathetic, though.
Yeah, because they didn't know. So obviously, chapter 10, Feyre has dropped her mask completely. It's over. She's now Feyre, Cursebreaker, Cauldron Blessed, High Lady of the Night Court all over. So she's like, I have places to be. I hate that she got outsmarted because I feel like she did so well.
Yeah.
But she didn't really think about food, which I fucking hate. Oh my god.
But I may be stretching here a little bit, but that's like the whole situation with Amarantha and Rhys. Rhys didn't sniff his drink because he was so busy focusing on tunneling into Amarantha's mind.
And because he was alone, nobody was looking out for him, so he didn't have anybody on his back.
So similarities there.
And even here, you can't sniff it because they said that everything that was made with it was bred with it. Like the apple that she had, it was like made from the King of Hybern's garden that was bred with Faebane. So like, of course, there's no smell to it.
And just in general, I think they said that Faebane doesn't smell like anything
when you put it in. So if anyway, she was just fucked. She doesn't know.
Yeah.
So in any way, she wouldn't have been able to tell
unless she recognized the headaches. But of course, she didn't.
I give her a pass. I feel like that was really hard for anybody to know. Also because we didn't pick it up, we give her a pass. So obviously, I mean, they're gonna kill her both. Like she knows they're gonna kill her and Lucien both. They know too much.
Yeah.
So what's the best way? We gotta fight our way out of here because we find out, like we already said this, but they've been poisoning her the whole time, which is why she's been having headaches. But it's the funny part that Ianthe has been the one that's been poisoning her.
When is Ianthe going to be done ruining everything?
Because what was funny about their monologuing or their explanation of this was that Feyre even put a barrier around Ianthe's mind, not to protect her, but just to know that if they tried to penetrate Ianthe's mind, the thing is, they said that they didn't need to persuade her, so they didn't need to enter her mind. They just gave her the poison and said, "Hey,
do this, and maybe the king will sleep with you." Okay.
Ew. Now they ever said that since last book, I'm just. So what's important about this is that the reason that she's been having more headaches is because like they've been dumbing her powers down, but this apple that we talked about that was bred with Faebane, it's gonna wipe her magic out for like days,
right?
Which
it's
is
like
bad.
The final thing to make sure that she is weakened
and powerless. But they don't know that she was trained by Illyrians.
No, she did not. Specifically, the general of the Illyrians, the general of the High Lord's army,
our hot boy. Sorry, my hot boy. Well, they're ours, but I will say Cassian's more mine than yours.
Yeah.
I will say, sorry, this is a quick side progression. I love there was a TikTok on friends and good friends and shit, and it's like, you know you're good friends with somebody when your types aren't the same.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever had one moment, I mean, besides like a Rhys-Sand character, like somebody who overall is the main character we love.
I think basically, like, just thinking towards other things, we've each had like our own and then one that we've shared, but that's like a second after the thought.
Yeah, like with our BTS biases, I loved Jin automatically, even when I didn't even know them that well. And I
remember immediately though, like, I mean, this is the little digression, but immediately when she said Jin, I'm like, whew.
Because if I was that bitch and just said, oh my god, JK, oh my god, she would have killed me.
No, just specifically like, wait, which one do you like? Oh, I like JK. Oh, I like JK too.
God, I will say, okay, this is gonna sound really dumb, but anybody in a fandom, whenever you like the same one, like really die hard as somebody else, I'm sorry, you can't really be good friends. There's always going to be some sort of
tension.
Like, I'm the bigger fan, like, and it's for real. Nobody wants to say it, but I'm saying it here and now. That's why we work so well, because our types aren't the same. And because, I mean, I think RM's like our main, our shared.
It's like the fact of like, then we can wingman better for each other without any extra like,
Oh, 100%. So I will say that right here and now, but really bad side progression, but it was important to say.
That's how we work together as twin flames. We don't have the same taste.
And it's never because like, oh my god, I'm lying. It's very much just, oh no, like JK was not the first person I looked at.
Mm-hmm.
And Azrael was not the first. I mean, Azrael and JK are great, but I had a different immediate reaction.
Right.
So anyway.
It's been a while since we've mentioned BTS. It's fine.
I know. We've been really lax in saying that, so we've been really good about it. So she decides to defend Lucian and fight for them both because, like, her powers are nearly gone, but during this whole fight sequence, she's still using the last dregs of her power to fight them.
Well, for the winnowing part, but, like, the physical fighting, that's all Cassian's training.
Oh, yeah. Badass, bro. So cool.
I mean, of course, the winnowing is a vital part to it, but, like, the fact that she's able to keep up with Dagdan,
who is, however old, he's probably ancient.
She has never fought a commander of Hybern, like, head on like that. She hasn't really even fought anyone of a higher status like that.
Not like hand to hand, no.
Mm-mm. So the fact that she can keep up with him, I mean, and they're winnowing together, of course, she's using her last dregs of power, but, like, still, that's, like, insane for her to keep up. I'm with Lucian on this of, like, what the fuck?
Yeah, she's, no, I'm gonna follow her.
Is it? Yeah. Even Brenna is, like, shocked that Favor's able to keep up with her.
Oh, yeah, and so we kind of, like, finally understand their dynamic. So Brenna is more the mind fighter, while Dagdan is very much the brawn, but that's also to their detriment because, you know, you said they're like winnow strike and she's keeping up with him, but like he's trying to tire her out. So what better chance than to go at the thing that he probably cares about more than him? Mm-hmm. So she like throws a big wall of fire on Branna or Brandon. I think it's Brandon, sorry. Oh, and dude, she gets like burnt.
She's like screaming in pain and Dagdan like is like whipping his head toward her and just like, no.
It throws him off, which is like what Cassian told her to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, dude, as he's thrown off, she's getting the upper hand, but it's Lucian who comes in clutch and literally decapitates Branna.
Yay, Lucian.
Full on, okay, this is where we get to that point in Sarah's books where, like, she gives no fucks about gore. No, she full on, he didn't, like, stab her, decapitated her.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm proud of him for doing this.
I think he knew.
This was, like, Lucian's moment where he decided he's not staying with the Spring Court. Because he can't go back after that.
No matter how he tries to spin it, it's never gonna, even if he tried to tell the truth, he would still get fucked.
Yeah.
So it's over for him. So obviously, as Dagdan is like, okay, obviously upset by his sister dying, that gives Feyre the upper hand, and she literally knifes him in the skull.
Yeah.
Like his eye, through his eye, and my god.
Yeah, because he,
God.
like, Dagdan, like, winnows over to Lucian, about to kill Lucian, and Feyre winnows one last time in between them and stabs him in the eye like that. Epic.
Epic, badass, and Lucian's just like, you should thank me.
Feyre just saved his life again.
Yeah, multiple times this time. So now, obviously, like you said, there's no going back. Like, Lucian decided. He's like, you're going back to the Night Court. He's like, oh, I'm going with you. She's like, no, you're not.
Yeah, I am.
He's like, I'm getting my mate back. I'm like, okay.
Okay.
Did I kind of eye roll at that a little bit? Like,
yeah, considering they've never, like, talked for too long, like, they've said a few words to each other.
I feel like with Rhys and it made more sense because Rhys actually got to know her under the mountain for like 3 months.
He got to know her for even more time before they found out they were mates. Well,
yeah, so when she was human, when he got those images. So with Lucian, I'm not saying I love Lucian, don't get me wrong, but I kind of I was like, I don't think you're entitled to say that just yet, man. I really don't.
I think what I rolled my eyes at more was the idea of bringing her back. First of all, you don't want to bring her back to Spring. That seems like a dumb idea. Second of all, bringing her back as in, I think Jerian did get into Lucian's head about what the Illyrians were doing to Elaine. So I think there's a level of that, so I can't fault him for that. But still, there's this level of possession that I don't think he has the right to have yet.
I agree. But also, like, he doesn't know that they're probably not even in the Illyrian camp. They're probably in Valaris somewhere.
But he doesn't know Valaris exists, so.
I know. So he's, I understand.
So
you're right.
There's levels that we understand him, but at the same time, he's really jumping the gun here.
Right, it's like, so obviously as they're making their way, because again, remember, from the first book, there are 3 entrance caves to get into the other court. One is autumn, one is summer, and then one goes under the mountain.
Which that one was closed off.
Yeah, but they have to, like, so the entrance wasn't closed off, it's like the exit was.
Yeah.
So it's like, even if they tried to go through there, they'd like get lost in the caves, and even if they did, they're going to the middle. Like, obviously that would be farther up, that'd be closer to where they would be, but they'd also be going into the very dangerous middle with no magic.
Right. Let's not do that.
Yeah, like, let's not. So then they're kind of stuck because her magic now, as they make it to the caves, are all gone. They're both, yeah. So obviously, Feyre can't go into summer because of the blood ruby. So where's the only option do they have to go?
Got it.
Which we also know autumn is a probably terrible place for them to go.
I was intrigued though because we haven't really seen much of the actual court of autumn.
Oh yeah.
Like, of course, we've heard bad shit about its ruler and the heirs. We haven't experienced it much.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool because we're getting to see all the courts now because we've seen summer, we've seen spring, we've seen night, so now we're getting another one.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what's even cool about this is so autumn's a death trap, but at least Lucian kind of knows his way around, so that's also a little good.
Right, because he's from there, so at least he remembers where things are.
Because I feel like even if they tried to go into summer, they both would be blind.
Yeah.
Whilst as at least here, even though they know it's a little bit more dangerous, maybe, especially for Lucian, at least they know their way around.
But at the same time, it's like Feyre couldn't have expected that Lucian would be coming with her. So in a way, it's like an added plus of now she has eyes, at least.
Or an eye. Sorry.
An eye.
Sorry.
No, that was coming. I had that coming.
So, like, Feyre is awesome, bro. She even made sure, so she even thought about this so much that the spring court sentries that would have been at caves are gone.
Mm-hmm.
She even made sure they were gone for today. I'm like, holy shit, bitch. You had this all planned out. I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, proud of her.
Mm-hmm. So obviously, as they make their way into autumn a little bit, but then there's like a cave immediately, a little further in, which turns out to be like Lucian's cave where he goes to go hunting.
Right.
Probably his escape.
Probably.
I love this line before the part name. I love as they're going in. You were right. That girl I knew did die under the mountain. Because again, that calls back to the last book about what she said to him. Like, no, she's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Which honestly, I feel like that's an over dramatized way. Like, I feel like she's still her, but she was never herself with them in the first place. So like, to me, I don't even really think that he can say that because he didn't know her and didn't want to know her even before Under the Mountain. Right. So
that's
anyway.
True. I will say a little, like, just a fun fact. I was looking for this because this is the quote for this episode. I was looking back in my Kindle and like using the search option, so I did like that girl died under the mountain, and I found that it actually like popped up. It's repeated now 3 times, with this being the third, the trifecta. But like of it being Feyre saying it to herself, and then Feyre saying it to Lucian back in Akamath, and then saying it this one.
Yep, yeah, you're right. It was said 3 times. And I think I clocked them each time.
Yeah,
like I think I put them in my notes each time.
And specifically the fact that it's said the exact same way every time.
Oh yeah,
we love definitely consistency.
Sarah, and maybe that's why my OCD ass loves Sarah. I love the consistency, but I also think those words are powerful.
They are.
So obviously, this is so. This whole thing is epic. That's why I'm excited to talk about it. But yeah, so the part name is pretty quick. Like last time, it took a little bit longer. Actually, no, I think it was about the same chapter. Actually, it was. There were 3 part names in the last book, and they were about the same spread out. If I think about it, yeah, actually, yeah, it's true. Because then we get to part 2, which is called the Curse Breaker, which we already know what that means. But I did want to say on my reread this time, I noticed I think each part name is a different name for Feyre. Because the first one's called Princess of Carrion, the second is called Curse Breaker, and I'm pretty sure, don't quote me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure the third part is called the High Lady.
I think that sounds right.
So I think that they're all names for her. And I didn't notice that beforehand.
That would make sense.
So obviously, you know how much that means to me. The part names mean to me. But yeah, like Liesl said, it's going to chapter 11. It's our first time in autumn, so we're getting a lot of descriptors.
Yeah,
is that the best way to say that?
Adjectives and describing the setting and the scenery.
I love how it said the cold was what hit me first.
Yeah, that's a good way to start it.
I'm already good. I already don't want to be here anymore.
Again, we were like, sorry, I wanted to say one more thing about the switch of the part name. The fact that before the part name, it ended with like going into the awaiting cold and dark, and then it starts off of like the cold is what hit me first.
Oh, and yeah, sorry, before I forget, thank you for reminding me. Before, as she goes into the cave, she hears, after the cold and dark thing, she hears Tamlin's roar from behind.
Yes, that's a vital part.
Yeah, that's really important. Sorry. I totally forgot it. I got so excited. So yeah, it's kind of like the end. If anyway, that was a goodbye. That was like a final goodbye in a fucked up way. But
Tamlin was pissed.
Oh yeah, because he knew he got played.
Part of me wonders if, like, that's when he discovered Ianthe as well.
Maybe.
Or he discovered the commander's dead bodies.
I mean, they were all in the same clearing,
That's
so...
true, that's true.
It's kind of fucked that they have no power, because, like, as she said, you know, she's defenseless in terms of healing anybody. Remember, we're back to almost human Feyre of the hunting and listening, and she doesn't just have easiness of, you know, having her shadows out so that she pick up on people.
Yep, she's
like,
back to being human, pretty much.
They're kind of blind. Well, yeah, as you say that, they don't even have their healing magic either, so that screws them.
So Lucian is finally figuring out what it feels like to be a human.
I know. So I love how they're a little bit awkward while they lead to the cave that he's in.
Yeah.
Because they don't really know what to say to each other. Another important thing to bring up about them not having their magic is that the mating bond has gone dark.
It was already blurry and fuzzy, which I guess now we are figuring out is because of the Faebane. But, like, again, we should have seen that coming. The fact that it seemed more distant. But we thought it was just because the bargain bond was gone, so it was just the mating bond distant. But,
right.
Like, God, I should have seen it. But anyway, just the fact that now she can't feel them at all, that's bad.
Well, yeah, because what could he probably be thinking? I mean, we finally find out in this section what he was thinking, but it's bad because it's the same way she felt when he got Gorzian shackled up.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, she was freaking out because she saw him get shot down, heard it roar, and then she couldn't feel him anymore. So obviously, like, now, even before we, like, get to where he says what he was thinking, we can only imagine what he's probably feeling when she goes completely dark. Because also, if we call back to the very beginning of Akamath, when he said he would check in on her because during that, like, 1 month, because he couldn't feel her.
Yeah. Well, and also it sucks because they can't tell them where they are as well.
Right.
They could easily come and pick us up, but they need to know where we are, and they could only do the assuming until they get their and they don't know when they'll get their magic back.
Right.
So yeah, all good things.
Lovely. And the fact that Feyre was originally planning to just winnow every once in a while, like winnow back until she was in range of them.
Yeah, also, honestly, imagine doing this without Lucian. Honestly, I can't even think about, she probably wouldn't have survived, man. I don't think so.
That's terrifying.
If anything, she needs him.
Yeah, at least he does have some kind of skill. Although probably at this point, Feyre is much stronger than him.
Mm-hmm. Like, obviously, he, you know, when they finally get into the cave, he's like, oh, you know, he's kind of a whiny bitch. Like you truly planned this. It's like, yeah.
Duh.
Yeah. So, and they can't eat anything that Alice packed for them because it's probably all laced. So
yeah, which
they gotta throw that out. Right. Obviously, he's like, you know, saying in hindsight, you know, like, oh, well, I knew there was something wrong. And it's like, well, why didn't you say anything?
2 reasons.
And you know what those 2 reasons are? Bullshit.
Yeah.
He said 1, he didn't want to tell Tamlin because he said it was kicking a male when he was down. Whatever.
Well, Feyre wasn't already doing that. It's fine.
And then 2, the reason that we all knew about is that, yeah, even if he was right, and if he told he wouldn't ever see Elaine again.
And Feyre would make sure of that.
It's like, okay, now okay. Now she's letting him see it. She's letting him have it. Because even if he doesn't trust Rhysand or the Night Court, how on earth would he think that Feyre would be okay with Elaine being there if she was in any sort of danger?
Right.
Like, he trusts Feyre, sort of.
Kind of.
Like, but if she cares so much about her sisters, why in the hell would he think that they'd be, like, you know, unwrapping the whole Jurian thing? It's like, obviously, she's not up with a bunch of Illyrians and getting assaulted.
Right.
If she wouldn't have let it happen.
Yeah, Feyre would be freaking out if she thought that would happen.
So I think he's like starting to get it, but I think he's just mad. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, did you plan to spare me from your path of destruction? Honestly, no.
No, she did not.
Honestly, she wasn't.
He wasn't even really part of her plan. Well, except for his spots.
But it's fate. It happened like that, man.
Yep.
And she tells him right to his face, like, oh yeah, I thought about disemboweling Tamlin a couple times, but I thought that would be bad to the war effort. Well, yeah, because she brings up a good point. Like, that wouldn't be good if the Night Court killed him, because then they could spin that as, oh, the Night Court is still evil and not Hybern is the enemy here. Yeah. They need to do everything in their power to make sure that the other courts know that. So Hybern crushing the Spring Court gives them perfect leverage. It's the perfect setup. Mm-hmm. While also getting back at them in a way.
Yep.
He's starting to get it. It's like, bro, wake the fuck up about Tamlin and Feyre. When have you seen in the last month where they've even been showy very romancy. No.
We haven't.
Or love. So, it's whatever. But I love the little quip at the end here where he says, he's like, oh, my father will kill you for having his power. It's like, bro, get the fuck in line.
I was half expecting her to be like, I'd like to see him try.
Also, Baron, I don't give a fuck about you, bro. I really don't.
Yeah.
Well, if anything, they're on common ground now, which is gonna make him even more mad, I feel like.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
A woman? Hi, God.
Hi, lady. Oh my god. The fact that like he's gonna be like seeing her go from a human, a weak little human, like running in the mud of the worm pit, to High Lady of the Night Court, which is the most powerful court, although of course he's not gonna admit that because he's a prideful bastard.
Which I will bring this up later, but I feel like it's important to say is I don't feel like everybody else knows that, because I don't think they know that Rhysand is powerful than them, more powerful than them.
That's true, because he hides everything.
Yeah, and he's hid his power a lot, so I feel like they're gonna find out.
Oh, yeah.
Find out how powerful they are. Not just Rhysand, but the whole inner circle, like
Right.
including Feyre now. Everybody else is fucked. There is no way that anybody could overpower them.
It would be better to be on their side, let's just say that.
Oh yeah, but they don't use it to scare people.
No.
They're just powerful because they are, which is what makes them the strongest.
And they train constantly as well, so we can't discredit that. But just the fact that no one else knows that Rhys is half Illyrian, so that no one else knows that Rhys has physical skills as well as mental skills. Like, they just see him as, like, the bastard that plays with people's minds. And it's like,
when he's
no, actually, he'll probably cut you down with a sword first.
Oh, yeah. So it's like, thanks, Lucian. We all needed a reminder that your dad's an asshole. Thanks. So when they wake up the next morning and they talk about where they need to go, so they're thinking about whether or not they want to head west, east, or like due north. And like the thing is, I kind of agree with Lucian. I don't feel like them going near the forest house, which is what they call, like, that's where the capital, I guess. It's kind of like the Manor of Spring.
Yeah.
Was.
It's like
Baron's house
that you see in the what Star Wars was that? My parents are gonna hate me for forgetting the Star Wars, but like that one Star Wars like city that's in the trees.
I know what you're talking about. I don't remember.
I don't remember what it's called or what movie it was in.
I think it was in the last movie. I think it was in the last Star Wars movie of the original trilogy.
I think that's right.
Yeah, it was in the Return of the Jedi. I know the movie, but I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Anyway.
We'll have to look it up later.
Or any other tribal treehouse.
Yeah, it's like, I understand. I actually agree with Lucian here. I understand her reasoning. Like, okay, she doesn't want to go too close to summer because that could be dangerous, but she also doesn't want to go too far east because they need to get like closest way they can. So if they need to go due north, even though they'll have to be sneaky. But I think the thing is, I think Baron already knows they're there.
Probably.
As soon as they entered, I feel like there's, if the High Lord has power into the earth of their territory, I bet he did.
And also, if you think about it, whenever it was that last book that Azriel said that like all of his spies had to be pulled because Tamlin put up all the wards. Those are like wards around the Spring Court, not just around the manor. So yeah, I would think that Baron would also have like wards around Autumn Court that he would know if someone passed through.
And also them going so close to the fucking forest house, like that thing is massive. Like, how did they think they weren't going to get followed and or caught?
Right.
Of course, but I agreed with Lucian, but I think they weren't ever going to, even if they did go far west or east or whatever, they still would have got caught.
Yeah, they would have just been further away, so it would have been better to go north anyway.
So even though he doesn't trust her as they're traveling, I love that they're kind of bonding.
Yeah.
I really do.
It's nice for them to bond again, especially now that Feyre is a different person.
Right, because we haven't seen them interact like this before.
Yeah.
Because there's like a whole scene where they're just fishing.
The fact that like Feyre's trying to like craft a fishing rod, Lucian just goes hands in, brave style, and just catches them with his hands.
Dude, I'm gonna go to hell. The thing I was thinking about was the whole thing that Branna said about the Autumn Court people having fire in there. Elaine might be in trouble, but maybe the good kind of trouble. I don't know.
Depends on what she's into.
Oh my god, that was like the first thing I thought of, and I was like, oh no. Maybe that's what Feyre was thinking too, and she's like, I don't know.
I will say, it was very nice to see Lucian go back to his kind of casual, like, warrior roots of, like, just casually gonna go in here and catch fish with my bare hands.
Oh, in the man bun? Hot.
Well, we know you have a thing for that, but anyway, it feels very boyish in a way. It feels like it's more Lucian. It's not emissary or anything like that. It's just Lucian.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And even if he doesn't get along with his family, that is still his home court. So he knows those woods.
Right.
So yeah, it feels like he's at home in that court. He's at home in his body, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I totally agree. And so they're kind of silent. You know, I guess we always say that that's a testament of true friendship, if you can be silent in each other's presence for a long time.
Yeah.
I think half of it's awkwardness, but I think another half is like, okay, we just need to do this.
Right.
It took 5 days to clear the forest house, which, holy shit, this is taking a while.
Yeah, that's
Well, I like how it's described, because the manor is big, but the forest house is described as like it could take you a day to get from one side to the other.
Like, that's insane.
It's
weird. Basically, in that sense, then, like, you know, there's the main manor, but the forest house is basically the city, the main city. Like you said, the capital.
And again, I don't want to bring up too many Game of Thrones references, but for somebody that didn't really understand kind of this layout, it kind of reminds me of Castle Rock from Game of Thrones. It's like a really big, massive castle with like a city, but it's so sneaky. It's like described as you could very easily hide. And it's not a good thing. Like, because if anybody who knows the castle back and forth would probably have seen them.
Yeah.
So yeah, describing Castle Rock from Game of Thrones to Forest House is not a good It's very bad to be there, but as they make their way through it, you know, they finally reach like the farmlands outside of the Forest House, and we finally get some more talking, which I'm glad about. So we're getting more about Lucian's old life. So apparently the farmers and lowborns, he used to work with them because obviously he was the youngest of the High Lord's son, so nobody thought he'd be the High Lord at all, and he didn't really want it, and he used to be among the people. But
I always love that kind of trope of like prince that would rather be with the commoners,
which she brings up is more lordly than what her brothers have done.
Yeah.
Learning the people's plight, understanding it, loving the court itself. That's very lord-like.
Right, which kind of makes sense why he then became an emissary, because he knows people. He knows how to talk to people.
I hate where it goes, though, because he says, we can't trust them because his father doesn't pay them enough and because they don't like him anymore. And she's like, why? He said, ever since Jasminda. We finally get her name.
Yeah.
And I will say, I think I understand the reason of that is now that he knows that he has a mate, it's almost, remember before when he talked about his lover that, you know, tragically died? He thought they were mates and he thought he was going to be alone forever.
Right.
Now he finds out that there was someone else destined for him that wasn't her.
It's almost forcing him to move on from Jasminda.
Which I'm not saying is good or bad, but I think him being able to finally say her name is progress.
Progress. Good.
Whether or not he's doing it in the right way or not.
Right.
I think he can't really fully move on because he hasn't met Elaine. Like, you were...
He doesn't know who he'll actually like as a person.
I think he's also just prone to the rules, so he's like, oh, if I have a mate, oh, we're gonna be together.
Right.
It's like, I don't know if you know much about the Archeron sisters or Fate or them, but they don't really go with what's expected of them.
No, like if you know Feyre, or somewhat know Feyre, like she has two sisters that are similar to her in that kind of way, though.
Yeah. So I understand his reasoning, though, because anybody who had a mate would assume, we're going to be together. That's it. She does ask Lucian, though, if he'd ever want to be the Lord of Autumn, and he doesn't say no.
But he
says
say yes.
Yeah. She calls him the Lord of Foxes. Lucian wouldn't want to rule Autumn because of not only just bloodshed it would take to get it, but because the people are bad.
Yeah, he wouldn't want to rule over bad people.
But also, like I said, I feel like that is a testament to Baron's leadership and not his own. I feel like he could change it.
Slowly, over hundreds of years.
But also, when we were talking about the bloodshed thing, I never really understood it, because remember when we were described how the High Lords got their power it was transferred to the next, it didn't matter about, if he's the firstborn son. It transferred to whoever had the most power.
Right, but my understanding of the bloodshed is that even if he did get that power transferred to him, he would have to fight his brothers because they would not agree with it. They would try and kill him again.
Oh, okay, sorry. That's what I know what you mean. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Or if it were the case, if he was really desperate to be Lord, then he would have to kill whoever got power after Baron's death anyway.
Yeah.
So it would just be the case of bloodshed within his family, and potentially whoever else, like, in the court disagrees with him being Lord.
Yeah, so I totally get that. I wouldn't want to rule Autumn either.
If Autumn were made of nice people, I'd like to be there, because I like Autumn. I like fall.
You do. That's so unfortunate. That's your favorite.
Oh, it's so bad.
What does that say about how SJM thinks about autumn people?
Uh,
Anybody whose favorite thing is autumn, you're a bad person. No.
No, what's worse is that actually my favorite kind of weather usually comes late spring. Or early summer. Late spring, early summer. So...
Which, I'm summer all the way, so I get to stay with Tarquin. Anyway. So they finally get to the border between autumn and winter, which, again, like you said before, we haven't really gotten much of their borders before.
Mhm.
Like, I didn't think that they were walls, but it's almost like it's very connective.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost, because if you think about it, if you're transferring from one season to the other, it's very much like an abrupt border.
Yeah.
Where it's like autumn on this side, winter on the other side.
Right.
But no, the only thing I was going to say was that specifically between autumn and winter, there's like a mountain range, which sucks.
Yeah, so what I was going to say is, like, it very much reminds me of the Tinkerbell movies and, like, Pixie Hollow, that kind of thing. Of, like, each individual, like, section, each season is a very, like, severe cutoff. Like, it's very clear, either that or it's, like, by a river or something.
Now these, yeah, 100%. Yeah, it does.
Or, actually, specifically, which movie was it? It was the one where Tinkerbell found her sister. Like, you know...
It was the winter one.
Yeah, like I guess it was, like, kind of, whatever, like, the warmer season versus winter. Like, that was a clear cutoff, like, connected to the bridge, and that was, like, the most clear. So that's kind of what I was thinking of here when I was thinking of borders between them, and that's kind of what the mountain range does.
Yeah, definitely. But it's cool as well to see it described.
Yeah.
But as they're, like, making their way up the range, like, obviously they have to, because it's full mountain range. Like, they can't really do anything to avoid it.
It would take too long to go around to find a lower point.
Yeah. So they hike up, and I love how Lucian is finally being impressed with Feyre, because if Feyre was how she was a while ago, they wouldn't really be able to get up.
And now, literally, she's like, just like looking, she's kind of breathing heavy, but not really. Meanwhile, Lucian behind her is just like...
panting. Yeah.
It's just like, wow, how are you doing this? And she's like, I trained. And he's like, I can see that.
Okay, this was cool, because I love how in these, like, moments of silence they had, it's almost like Lucian was finally figuring it out. Because as soon as she says that she trained, he's like, you know, that's why you were able to go up, like, against a Prince of Hybern. And she's like, oh, well, you helped. And he's like, no, it was all you. And he finally says, thank you. And I'm like, oh, progress. Oh my god.
Give him a week to process. That seems to work out.
Of just a week of pure silence. So then, of course, that night they get into a cave. You make the fire, whatever, and it's kind of cool that, like, Feyre accidentally. It's described as her magic is kind of coming back a little bit, and so she makes her way into Lucian's mind as she dreams, and she watches him watching her, and he puts, like, a cloak on her and everything. I'm like, oh,
that's sweet. Kind of ruins what comes next, but it's sweet.
Oh yeah. As soon as she finally sleeps, the first night she actually sleeps, they fucking get ambushed.
And bye-bye cloak.
Of course we all knew that this was going to happen. Like,
it had to. It's a journey. There's obviously going to be troubles on the journey.
Honestly, who probably would it have been besides the brothers? I mean, it kind of had to be them.
Right.
I'm just glad Baron wasn't going to go after them. Hell no.
Although it does make me think of, like, this whole scene makes me think of when Tamlin was talking about Lucian at the Pool of Starlight, of just like, the brothers, like, came and, like, hunted Lucian into the Spring Court, and that's, like, where some of them died. And then, like, it's this whole thing again. They're not in Spring Court, obviously, but, like, the brothers coming to hunt Lucian in another court. Like, what the hell?
No, I was gonna say the exact same. It is, like, literally a mirror situation. I thought really some of them were gonna die, and, like, he almost did.
Yeah.
As we tell later, but no, why do they care about him so much? Why do they? I mean, obviously Feyre's with him. Feyre they want to take back alive, though.
Yeah.
Because she's important.
And because Baron wants her.
Why are they so obsessed? I think it's because they know the magic would choose Lucian.
Because he's the least corrupt out of all of them.
Yeah, and so, like, the magic would just automatically choose him instead of the others, and that's why they just want him dead.
Although, it does make me think, with what I just said, if Lucian is the least corrupt of them, how did it end up, like, choosing Baron? Like, was Baron not corrupt he used to be?
I don't know, man. Maybe he was a different person. I doubt it, but...
He probably had the underlying things, but maybe he was at least, like, a little bit more considerate in a way. But that probably disappeared real quick.
Or maybe he killed everybody else.
That's true. Bloodshed.
He probably killed everybody else to get to where he was. That's why, yeah.
That's why the leaves are red in autumn.
True. So obviously, we finally get to meet these other brothers, but we finally get to meet Eris. Remember, not only as the guy who's the eldest brother, he is also the one that was engaged to Morrigan and left her to die in the woods.
Yeah, and he was also the one who was trying to please Amarantha in the first book of like, even if we did know, we would tell you, lady, or whatever, like sucking up to Amarantha. Ugh.
Again, all of us again seeing red. It's like, oh, you're the fucker. Hello, I've been dying to meet you.
And I hope you're dying to meet me too.
So yeah, so we finally get to meet the other two, because I think there's only the three of them, right? I think there's only three of them left.
Is that
Am
right?
I remembering that right?
I think there's only three of them there. I think one of them stayed.
Was it?
I think so.
Because I thought two of them died. Then again, yeah, I guess then there would be
two. Yeah, so I think one of them stayed at the Autumn House. Sorry, the Forest House.
Okay, fair. So finally again, Eris is like monologuing. Obviously, he said, father wants to see them both. So apparently, again, they've had a week, right? Rumor has spread. So apparently, rumor has spread that Lucian and Feyre cuckolded Tamlin and ran away. Fucking idiots.
God, the fact that one of the brothers like responded to Eris saying like, I didn't think you had it in you, little brother. He had it in her.
That was kind of good. That was actually a good and funny, but I hate them, so I don't care. But I have to remember, though, that none of them were in Hybern. Mm-hmm. None of them know what happened. So all they know is that Tamlin got her back from the Night Court somehow, and Lucian and her are running off together.
Yeah, that's true.
Honestly, and from what everybody else probably saw in spring from her deception, obviously they would have said something like that. Yeah. So I'm not surprised that that's how it comes out.
Right.
So it's just funny. Baron wants to see them, and obviously, if they walk into the Forest House, they're dead. This is bad. Mm-hmm. So, like, they're trying to think of, like, a game plan or whatever, and, Eris thinks that he underestimates them at first. He thinks that they're going to be willing to go.
Because they have knives to their back.
Yeah. But they also don't know that she has powers.
Well, even though she doesn't have her magic, they don't know that she has physical training.
Well, it's cool, though, that she says that being in Autumn makes her fire push past the poison.
That's true. And the fact that including Lucian, it's 4 of the heirs of Autumn, so they would have more power as well.
And it also kind of gives her a cover of it not being her power. They think it's Lucian at first, because it's like, oh, she doesn't have any power, so it has to be theirs, or his.
Right.
That kind of screws up when they see her ice later, but so basically she pushes them back. It gives a big wall of fire, and her and Lucian enclose them in the cave to give them a head start to run. But like you said, problem is, there goes the cloak. They have to leave everything that all their supplies in the cave, so they are going into winter with nothing.
With one cloak.
They're fucked. It is cold as hell, and obviously this is fairy winter, not human winter. This is eternal winter.
Yeah. Good luck. And on top of that, they're in the mountains still.
So that's also not good either.
So, and we know it's like higher and colder in the mountains. So on top of it already being a cold winter. As someone who's experienced mountain winters, it is cold.
Yeah, you can keep that to yourself. I don't want that. I definitely don't want that.
Winters are so much better. No, actually, I won't say better. They're more humid.
Yeah, but winters up north are different, though, than the ones down at Earlham used to be.
That's true. Because you're up by the lakes, so.
Yeah, the lake effect is pretty bad. So, anyway, geography. So, I hate how she underestimates them. Because remember how these border thing works? Like, this is literally playing out the same way, like you said. She thinks that his brothers aren't going to go into winter. Do you not remember the same story that we did? They went in the spring and gave no fucks.
Yeah, they fought against Tamlin.
So, of course they're going to follow them. There was no hesitation for me. I'm like, nope, it's not over.
Although, if you think about it, I mean, I know we're about to get into it. I don't think the brothers had any warmth or anything like that. Like, maybe they had, like, more warmth, like, from their tunics and stuff, but they didn't have, like, cloaks or supplies or anything. They were, like, purely on a hunting mission for these two.
Oh, but they also had their fire that they could use.
That's true. I forgot about that.
Like, they all had fire powers, so that sucks. So, obviously, Feyre's reminding herself about how when she was human, she'd be dead automatic, but they really need to get into a cave or they will die out. So they finally find one, and they don't have any place to put a fire, so they have to use, like, body heat to warm up.
And I'm like, they wouldn't even have any wood up there. They didn't find any of that.
Right. So,
and add on to that, a blizzard.
I just wish we could have had a cave scene with somebody that wasn't Lucian. Like, I want to have a warm-up cave scene with Cassian, okay? I want us to have to strip down and have to use each other as body heat. I'm just saying they would have had a better time if it was like a romance scene.
Not all cases could be romance scenes, Tabby.
They have to get some fire going at least. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying.
Lucian's saving that fire for Elaine, remember?
Son of a bitch. I literally just took drink. Oh my god. You got me back with that one. I'm okay. I'm okay. This is, oh my god. This is so entertaining. I guess Lucian's alright. I love how because he thinks that they're going to die, like they start to ask each other like real questions.
Right.
He's like, what is she like, Elaine? And honestly, none of us really know how she's going to change, or either of them are going to change as they come out of the cauldron.
Right. I will say, like, just before we get into it, like, just the fact that he's finally, like, asking about her. Like, the fact that he hadn't asked about her before in the month that Favorite was back.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also think that's him just being, like, a dumb male who hasn't been in a relationship for, like, a long time.
Yeah, true.
So he doesn't know how to, he's kind of similar to Rhysand, where he doesn't really know how to, I don't know, how to act.
Yeah.
So finally, after all this time, she finally drops the bombshell on him. Like, she's like, but she's also trying to be honest with him. She's like, Lucian, she is in love and engaged. Whoops.
Wow.
Oh, he doesn't like that at all.
No, he doesn't.
My mate is engaged to a human male.
Specifically a human male that hates fairies.
Right. Again, I will say, any human male could not even compete with a Prithian male, though. I just gotta, I don't really think it matters who it is. I love how he says, I want to know if she's worth fighting for. I want to meet her once.
Right, rather than immediately saying, like, no, she should dump him and be with me.
Yeah, I like that spirit. But also, I'm thinking to myself, of course an Archeron is worth fighting for. Hell yeah. Like,
because an Archeron sister is going to fight for you, probably, most of the time.
Yes.
If you're worth it.
I will say, when I read this the first time, when they talk about Elaine and how, she likes garden and da-da-da, like, however you think about Elaine, weirdly enough, she seems like a perfect match for him.
Yeah, in a way, I can see that.
Like, not docile, but he likes somebody who's a lady. Like, the reason that he doesn't like Feyre in a sexual hot way is because he's not into women that are like, I'm not saying he's into a woman who doesn't fight back. I think he does. Mm-hmm. But on a lesser scale.
He also likes a lady who's like, well, not saying obviously that Feyre isn't, but like a smart lady. Mm-hmm. So someone who's very ladylike, but also has an inner intelligence.
Very passive-aggressive, not aggressive-aggressive. It's like liking me versus liking you. You're snappy and you're snappy and witty, but at the same, I feel like, okay, I don't want to say that you're in a lane, but I will say that you're more ladylike than I am in terms of like acting with other people. Okay. Versus with me, it's kind of like you get what you get, and I don't really play. I don't play a part. Which I'm not saying you're fake to anybody.
No, you're right. You're right. I am more ladylike when it comes to people I'm not close with.
Versus me, I act like I'm the same.
You pretty much are the same. You're very forward and very yourself around literally everyone.
Which is why I'm more of a Nesta, which either of them aren't compliments at the moment. Like, either of them aren't compliments. So, but I will say, when I read this, even though I was pulling for Elaine to be with Azriel in the moment, I kind of, when looking back and reading it this time, I was like, they do seem like a good match for each other, though, in a really weird way.
Which is probably why the mother thought they were equals.
Yeah, but he's gonna have to fight, I feel. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. If anything, also, he won't have to fight the male. He'll have to fight specifically Elaine.
Yeah, right. I do love how, because we've kind of been a theme today of comparing Lucian to Rhys, but this is almost like a direct parallel. Mm-hmm. Like, Rhys and him were in the same situation where their mates were in love with somebody else and engaged to somebody else. So if anything, she's like he says, oh, I wonder how Rhys did it. Mm-hmm. He's kind of humanizing Rhys a little bit, and I'm kind of glad we're moving towards that.
Yeah. Considering the last time that Lucian kind of like spoke about and to Rhys was a threat of saying that Rhys was dead and like how could he, or that kind of thing. Right. Now he's understanding where it's coming from.
And of course he asked the question that he wasn't really willing to ask days ago. He's, when did you give up on us? And like, because he says like, oh, you left us. It's like, excuse me?
Mm-hmm. Not Tamlin, but us.
You like abandoned me way before like I even left, bro.
Right.
And he also asked like, when did you start to love Rhysand? It's like, okay, dude, I never touched Rhysand until months after.
Yeah.
And we know that. Like, she's like, well, what about when you kissed under the mountain? It's like, okay, under the mountain was not where any of us.
Consensual.
That's not where we fell in love, if that's what it's.
Yeah.
I do like how they're talking, though, because even before, he wasn't willing to listen. Now, I think he's actually listening to what she's saying.
That's true.
Because before, it was just, oh my god, like, when did da-da-da about Reese? He wasn't listening then. Now, he's literally just asking straight up, when did you? Okay, here's my answer.
Right. It's kind of, I mean, it is a trope that we see a lot of, like, two people stuck somewhere, they think they're gonna die, they may die, they're gonna be completely honest because there's no point lying.
Right, 100%. So obviously they have that night in the cave, and she does, as she's thinking as they go to sleep, she's like, honestly, she wants to pull Lucian to belong to the Night Court. She wants him to work for her. Because she's like, yeah, you don't belong in spring.
Although
and
he
I think
does have a point, though. He's just like, well, do I belong, like, in the night?
Well, okay. I think at the time, I was like, no, I don't think Lucian fits in spring at all. The Night Court, I kind of was hoping so, but now that, I've read this for the 10th time, I'm like, he doesn't really fit there either.
Right.
But also, he hasn't really, he's never been, so how would we know?
Right. I mean,
if he fits in or not.
Already has, like, bad thoughts about them anyway, so we have no idea.
Yeah, so that will definitely be a hard sell.
Yeah.
So as they wake up and they're finally kind of going through winter now, because now they're in winter, her power is coming back. They made it the night, and as they make it up to, like, top of the hill or whatever, they see just this massive expanse of a big lake of just pure ice. That's, like, been there for millennia or whatever.
Yeah.
Ooh, my spidey senses were tingling when I saw, like, a lake of ice. I don't know if any of you have watched any, like, fantasy or any sort of, anytime there is, like, a lake of ice that expands. I'm trying to think of that one movie, and I'm not.
Yeah, I have, like, an image in my head as well. I mean, I've seen a lot of, like, frozen river scenes, like, where they're crossing the river, like Narnia, or
oh yeah,
I think even the Polar Express had a moment where it stopped on the ice, and, like,
I think so, yeah.
So it's like I'm trying to remember the exact movie where it's like specifically like a lake or maybe a frozen ocean or something. But, like, it is a very clear image, and you always know if you see something like that and, like, you can't even find a horizon line or anything, do not go on there. Of course,
well, and I know that's where shit hits a fan. Like, anytime in any like, our spidey senses are tingling. Okay, we're fantasy. I don't want to say, like, movie moment experts. So I'm like, oh shit.
We've also seen our fair share.
Yeah, so we're just. But the thing is, the lake is the only thing that's there. It's not like that's due north. They can't go anywhere else.
Right, and it would take too long to go around it.
Yeah, so it's good that Rhys-Sand taught her about courts, I will say, when we're talking about this, because Callias, the High Lord of Winter, let's remember this, okay? So I think all of us remembered it, but didn't put two and two together. So as they're making their way down to the lake before they get on it, she's like, oh shit. The relationship between the Winter Court and Night Court is pretty bad right now. Because let's remember from the first book. Remember, during Amarantha's reign, when Feyre was at Spring, a bunch of Winter Court children were slaughtered.
Yep, a dozen of them.
And remember how they died. They died, they died because someone went into their minds and broke them.
Right.
So yeah, we don't actually know what happened. Like, she never really asked about the Winter Court children. I mean, I'm hoping to God it wasn't Rhys-Sand, but also, is that one of the things that, remember, he said in last book that he just doesn't want to talk about because they were so heinous? I don't know. Maybe he did do. We don't know.
This is the only, like, Daemoni that we know, really.
So
other than the dead commanders in Feyre.
Yeah, so honestly, who else would it have been? But anyway, let's not think about that. So after another 2 days of going down the mountain, they finally make it to the ice lake, and they're just out in the open. There is no place to take shelter. They're going to be on it for days. Yeah. Which is kind of good that they have this happen in a weird way, because they were going to be screwed regardless if they were being followed or not. Yeah. So, of fucking course, the brothers show up.
Yep, and where it says that there's 3 of them.
Yes, and they're on the lake edge waiting for them, and Eris is melting the fucking ice off.
Of course he is.
Because his power probably outranks the ice's, I'm gonna assume. Because the ice seems to have been there for a long. It's not like they're going on a creaky lake of, thin ice.
That's probably, like, ice that is at least a couple feet thick.
Yeah, so, but with his power, I bet you shit, he could probably get through it. Yeah. So obviously, first thing that Lucian says is, like, fucking run. Right. They run, but there's nowhere to go. They're out in the open. Like, they're fucked. But thankfully, their power's coming back finally, and so she uses her ice powers on them to make the ice freeze again.
Yeah. It's, like, melting beneath their feet, and she freezes it, or she sees it, like, melting ahead of them, and she freezes it. I do like, when I was reading it, the fact that they were, like, kind of zigzagging between each other. I'm just like, that's, like, the ninja way of doing that.
Oh, yeah, and because they're weaving, because they're also getting shot at.
Of course. course, because of course they are.
With arrows, which are probably ash arrows, I'm going to assume.
Probably.
Oh, but okay, so they're doing that for a little while, but then I think they get tired of it, and so Eris just winnows, and the brothers winnow in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god, this thing is so fucking epic. I love this. Oh my god.
Yeah, the fact that she gets shot before any of that.
Oh yeah, she gets shot in the arm.
Whoopee.
By, I think it was one of the other brothers.
Yeah, I think so.
So obviously Lucian is engaged in fighting with the other brothers, and Eris is kind of fighting Feyre, and he backhands her. Typical fucking guy to do that, but
yeah,
I gotta give it to SJM. She wrote like prick of a character. Like he is terrible.
When you can get mad at a character, you know it's been written well.
Because also, I feel like I've known that guy before. Again, it's so realistic. Like the whole Ianthe thing we talked about last episode. It's like all of us know of somebody that we've either interacted with or know that is exactly like that.
Yeah.
Maybe not in the fantasy way, you know, but purely personality way.
Yeah.
100% I've met Eris's before. And God, they're just as awful as this. Just thank God those guys in real life don't have powers, because they'd be even more entitled.
Yep, that's stupid.
So oh my god, I'm getting so excited. Oh my god. So I will say that this surprised me, because now reading it for the 10th time, I'm like, oh my god, I know what's coming. But as Eris bans her with fire, he's like shoving fire down her throat. He's putting he has her in a chokehold. So, and this is the point where Feyre is like, no, I'm out of options.
Because she doesn't have her magic anymore. That's the only reason he got a drop on her, is because she doesn't have her magic anymore.
It's true. And also she hasn't been training for that long. It's not like she can hold her own, but also Eris is a warrior who's been,
And on
how
top
could you
of
think
that, she hasn't been training for very long, and she has just spent probably way too long in the mountains, in the cold, without like food or water. Well, I guess snow would be water, but without food, without nutrients, and probably without sleep too. So that's like pretty bad.
And dude, I almost cried. Okay, can I say how it says verbatim? I need to.
Yes.
A shadow slammed into the earth for us, cracking the ice toward every horizon. Not a shadow. An Illyrian warrior. 7 red siphons glinted over his scaled black armor. It's Cassian literally fucking smashes on. I want to see this. I want to see this visually, because I can visualize it in my mind, and I really want to be able to see it.
The fact that she's got, now I'm actually tearing up though, because just the fact that she immediately, instead of thinking about her situation that she's in right now, like restrained and stuff, she's just like, Cassian, alive, like his wings are healed, like he is strong. And then of course, Ezreal.
I was gonna give your boy a moment to sign, but dude, he is pissed. And then another impact struck the ice behind us. So then behind her, on the other side, is good old boy Azrael. And yeah, you're right. Her first reaction isn't, oh my god, I'm saved. It's, they're not dead. Which, hell yeah, baby. Nothing can, dude. I was so happy.
And then they've got,
I'm surprised it was them, is all I'm saying. Because I thought it was going to be Rhys, or I thought it would maybe have been more, but the fact that the 2 people who were hurt most from last book are the ones that actually are there to save her.
It's perfect. And I feel like, I mean, obviously they have anger at Feyre, their friend, over their High Lady, like getting injured or getting trapped like that when they couldn't do anything to save her back in Highburn. So I think that has like another significance. But like looking at it like verbatim, the fact that Cassian isn't like raging, he's just like that lethal calm again, and he's just like, I suggest you drop my lady. It's just like, I love that kind of feel.
Oh my god, dude, especially as like, oh my god, I was like, yes. Like, oh my god.
One of the things that I love in books is loyal soldier, like a loyal like knight protecting, like,
oh yeah,
well, usually a queen, but like honestly protecting like someone who actually deserves it.
And I like it when it's not necessarily in a romance way. I feel like too many oftentimes I see it where it's like the loyalty is bound by a love or a romance, which, okay, I'm not saying that Cassie and Azrael don't love her. I think they do, but it's not romantic love.
Yeah. So for me, it's just that like unwavering loyalty, because they've deserved it, they've earned it, that kind of thing. And yeah, definitely does not have to be romantic, can be familial or even just friends. But it's just, I love it. I love it so much.
Because now Feyre knows she does deserve it, because they chose her and they think that she deserves to be protected like that. Oh my god.
They're her family.
I know.
Her family that got through that month.
Oh, but they fuck them up. Like, Feyre gets out of Eris's hold because Cassian gives her like a look like, you got this.
I'm like, seriously, what are you doing in this position?
So she does get free of him, but then Cassian engages with Eris one-on-one, and Azriel is helping Lucian with the others.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my god, this like fight scene, I'm just sitting there like reading, I'm like, oh my god, cool. Dude, the fact that Cassian almost easily dispatched, he honestly, if we didn't know, Eris probably would have died if they kept going. Because he takes out his Illyrian knife and gets him, or Illyrian sword, and puts it in his stomach, bro. But as Feyre said, kind of like the thing that we talked about earlier with Tamlin, they can't have all of Baron's sons dead at the hands of them. That would look really bad.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't help gain Feyre.
I love that Feyre's like just standing back watching this. She's like, wait, no, we can't do this as much as I want them dead.
Right, so, but it's the immediate stop, and they immediately stop, come to her side as badass soldiers on either side of her. So cool. Chills. Oh my god.
Epic. I've seen so many different fan arts of this exact moment, and it is so cool.
Oh yeah. I've seen it where like somebody like hand it out.
Yeah.
Like we might have been looking at the same one, I don't know, but it might have been.
Probably.
But so I love how now she lets them see that. So, because what confused me the first time I read this, I was like, oh, if she doesn't have her magic anymore, wouldn't the tattoo immediately show up?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because if she can't glamour it, then it would, right?
I feel like glamour is kind of like just that thing that you apply to it. Yeah, probably there's some level of you need to feed magic into it, but
I see what you're saying. I see that it's more of, because she didn't turn it off, like it still was on, versus she has to actually turn it back on to see it.
Right.
I understand that way of thinking. I mean, that's probably what it is, but I think I was a bit, I thought Lucian would have saw, obviously we needed an epic, they need to see it.
Also, we could be like considering that maybe, I mean, we know that Feyre had her cloak, so like if it ever did waver, it would be covered by her cloak, maybe?
Yeah, I agree.
There's a lot of different options.
I love how she's just like, I'm High Lady of the Night Court.
There's no such thing.
Yeah, the brother on the side, there is now, bitch. And it was time for the world to know it. Oh my god. And she's like, take me home to Cassian. Oh my god.
Take us both home.
Take us both home. So we had a full-blown laughing session about this in our first season. This visual of Cassian holding Feyre as they're flying away, but Azriel has to carry Lucian.
And neither of them look happy.
Especially considering what we know Elaine would be good for Azriel. And now Azriel is carrying Elaine's mate. Night Court. The fact that Cassian knows his last name is odd. I mean, it makes sense, but he's like, I don't know who looks more uncomfortable, like Az or Lucian Vencera. Vencera.
It's like, you never.
That's a cool last name.
It is. It kind of works. Like, we don't really get too many other last names other than Archeron. So
we don't.
For Lucian to have a last name, that's kind of interesting. But yeah, just the fact that it's like where the Shadow Singer carried Lucian, both of them making a point not to speak, look, or talk.
Yeah, because it is awkward.
I totally don't imagine like Lucian Azriel just carrying Lucian like bridal style.
Oh yeah, I think that's what the fan art did.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that specific fan art that I think we're talking about the same one. Lucian like with his hands around Az's neck. They look so
like,
awkward.
God, but we're just laughing. But oh my god, I almost cried listening to it again, but especially when I read this the first time, when he says, "Hello, Feyre, I missed you too." Oh,
she didn't even say hello back. She just threw her arms around him.
Such a big brother. Oh my god, that's why I like him so much. It's because like he can be a flirt. He also knows. I don't know. He's like way smarter than everyone gives him credit for. I think.
Oh, 100%. I mean, he is a general after all. But I think my favorite friendship, in what we've seen so far, my favorite friendship by far has been Cassian and Feyre.
Yes, I think so.
They're
I agree.
Such good friends, and I love it. It's so wholesome.
Yeah. So obviously they finally make it to the border of night, and who's waiting for them more is there. So we're happy to see her again. Yeah, so of course Rhys was going to be the last person we saw. I knew that.
It's building up the suspense of like, where's my mate?
It's like, where is he? Like, is he here? So Moore was on the border because she was trying to distract the Winter Court people, which good, because that just happened. So apparently Rhys is far away right now, which which we kind of understand later, but the bond came back like a few minutes ago, so he felt it, and that's why Cassian and Az went there immediately.
Right, he heard it and sent them for her. And
because they were closest.
Moore had a point, like she was drawing Callius's attention on the border.
Yes. I love how she looks at Az and Cass, and she's just like, well, they say who it was. Oh, it was Eris and the Lucian brothers. But she's like, Eris, he's alive. It's Azrael who says that.
He's
he
alive,
remains
unfortunately.
alive. And of course, I understand why she's a little tenuous with, I kind of get it, but I also don't. Why would Lucian be, I mean, I guess I think anybody from Autumn would trigger her a little bit. But
at the same time, if you kind of think about, I mean, I guess we don't really know the age differences between the brothers, but like if Moore was 17 when she was offered up to Eris, like there's a part of me that wonders if Lucian was even born when that happened.
Oh, I don't think he was. Hell no, he wasn't.
Considering that Eris is the oldest of them, like, yeah, I don't think Lucian was born. So why would like Moore have anger at Lucian?
I think that's more from Feyre, I think.
Yeah, probably.
From how he didn't do anything.
That's probably true.
I don't think it has anything to do with Eris if I'm thinking about it, but also she wants to know that it's an outsider. Oh, well, and I love how I think it was Azrael that said fought with us against Eris.
Yeah, so he at least has some brownie points there.
Right. But of course, it's the decision to, do we take him to the townhouse or do we take him to Valaris or do we take him to the Moonstone Palace? Which I'm thinking to myself, I mean, take him to the townhouse. Valaris isn't a secret no longer, dude. So it's not like there's really much to hide. So yeah, Valaris is no longer a secret, so just go to the townhouse? Like,
I guess so.
Someone is waiting there for you, is what she says.
Oh.
I'm like, I fucking hope so.
I hope he gets there in time, like he's racing back.
I want to see our boy again.
I want to see Feyre so bad.
Oh my god. So obviously, chapter 14, Feyre finally, they all winnow. Moore winnows. Let's just also remind ourselves how powerful Moore is. Moore winnowed all of them to the townhouse.
Yeah.
Badass, bro.
Yeah.
Again, now I think and I think this is what this book is kind of about, is now there's like a power dynamic shift where even though she sees them as her friends and family, she now outranks them, technically. Yeah. And it's her call what to do with Lucian. Mm-hmm. So she's kind of debating what to do with him. And the first thing is that he's shocked about the children laughing.
Yeah. Which was the first thing that Feyre was shocked by.
So we can't really, I think some people are just like, oh, it's like, no, that was the same reaction she had. So yeah. If anything, okay, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And I love how Amryn is there waiting for them. Like, oh my god, Amryn's back, baby. I'm so excited to see her too.
Right, because Feyre hasn't seen her since before Hagrid.
Mm-hmm. And obviously we know what Amryn said to Rhys when they came back. Like, Amryn was distraught. Mm-hmm. She's like, go get her back. Go get her back. Yeah. Which I don't think Feyre would ever know about, but we know. I love how she bows her head in respect to Feyre, which is a huge, yeah. Like,
for a 15,000-year-old plus some person, that's a lot of respect.
Oh, yeah, because they also know what she did for them.
Feyre earned that respect, 100%.
Oh, 100%. And Lucian seeing her and immediately bows.
At least she has manners.
I love it. She's just like, oh, you brought a new pet, I see. Already trained. Amryn is wild, girl. I've missed her so much.
I love her.
And she's just like, Amryn, I love how Amryn was the only one that got an introduction.
Yeah, true.
To Lucian. It was, Amryn, this is Lucian and Sarah. Like, I don't use my family name.
Which Feyre understands. She doesn't either.
I think she was just saying that just to say it, to see how he'd react.
Yeah, she was curious.
So obviously Lucian's asking her, like, what is this place? It's like, it's my home, Valaris, the city of starlight. The same way that Rhys said that to her when he brought her the first time.
That's such a big thing.
I love how Lucian's kind of getting the same treatment.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
It just shows how much, like, the Night Court is not evil and they respect their guests for the most part.
I think it's also a show of here's the truth. I want to see what you do with it.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see how you react. Are you going to be like, oh my god, this is a lie, da da da, or are you going to listen to what you see or, what you hear?
Yeah.
Girl, I legit cried, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. I cried the first time I read this scene, and I almost did it on this go, and I didn't. But I love how she said, I have to read it.
Yes.
He goes, so Lucian's talking, and you are a high lady of the Night Court. Indeed, she is. And I love how she sees everybody else's face light up. She sees all the inner circle light with a smile.
Yeah.
As Rhys comes up and leans up on the door.
Because they probably saw how distressed stressed Reese was having a month of like no mate.
Oh my God.
That is a good friend group when like they are so happy seeing these two together.
I know. Oh my, it's so sweet. And
Just
that's why it made me cry the first time.
I know. I feel emotional here.
I know.
I mean, bringing back to the fact of like the scent, the mating bond scent kind of thing, but also like confronting him of like the scent that hit me, that awoke me. Like,
well, because then she like takes him in, in his beautiful self,
she collapses,
immediately crumples at the sight of him.
Yeah.
And honestly, if I was standing up while I read this, I probably would have too.
Yeah.
Girl, this is not fair. He says, the first thing he says to her is he like puts his hands on her face and hugs her and he goes, "My love, stop." Stop.
My love, and then kissed her while like caressing her face.
Oh my God, dude, this is setting a terrible precedent.
And
the
fact that Lucian's there though, the fact that Lucian had like all of like these other preconceived thoughts of Reese, this was in the back of my mind as I read this the second time, of just like Lucian is just standing there and like he's probably thinking of like, what the heck?
It's like, this is the sweetest thing you've ever seen. I feel like more would be there like, this is the sweetest thing you ever seen, with like a knife to his throat. Like,
and he's like,
shut the fuck up.
Lucian, this is what real mate is like.
Yeah, that's what mating life would be like. So I love how, dude, badass. Reese kicks everyone out of the house so that they can be alone together.
Which they deserve.
Power play, hell yeah. Also, they have another place to go. It's fine.
They have many other places to go.
Again, I'll say this like maybe one other time. It's so different than how Tamlin reacted to her coming back from the second book. The first time.
Yeah.
He does not give a shit. I mean, obviously they start talking, and I think it's because they just want to check in first. Right. I think they're also just being awkward.
Because they haven't seen each other in forever, and she said, like, it is very different because when Favor came back both times, Tamlin immediately was just like, all right, tell me everything you learned.
Yeah, grilling her for information.
Right now, Reese doesn't care. Reese just wants his mate.
He bridal carries her throughout the bed, their bedroom, and their bedroom.
Sets her, what was it, on the ground, like them just like kneeling and hugging. Like, that is so wholesome.
And he's like, there are other things I'd rather do first. Hell to the yeah, sure. Blatantly sliding me down his body as he did so, as if it was so powerless to resist touching me. Hell yeah, girl.
100%.
The touching. Okay, this sounds really weird to anybody who hasn't been in a relationship, but it's like, as a physical person like me, especially when something has gone wrong, or like in this scenario when they haven't seen each other in a while, physical touch is the roving, isn't necessarily in a sexual way to me. It's very much like I want to know you're here and with me.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, and I'm just a very physical person, so I do that a lot.
And like, I totally get it.
That didn't come out right, even though I knew what you meant.
I totally get it. I totally understand it. God, that's been happening so often recently.
Do you underget it?
I do underget it. I mean, the new word, it's trademark, undergetting it.
Yep.
I do understand that though, even as a person who, I'm not super big on like hugging or that kind of thing, but when I'm feeling like super stressed, I tend to go to someone for a physical, like holding a hand or something, or even like, I don't know, just something physical like that. Not as close or suffocating as a hug can sometimes be, but just holding a hand sometimes, it grounds me. So I totally underget it.
Yeah, because it's not always, there's always a fine line between like a sexual way and I mean, obviously the sexual tension is there. It's delicious. It's great. But like, that's not necessarily at the moment what they're thinking about.
Right. Like, that's not like their main goal. Like, their main goal isn't just to fuck because they're back.
It's to be in each other's presence again.
Yeah.
So he just wants to be with her instead of grilling her for intel, which is like, what was so cute was that the first thing he said wasn't even a question. It was, when the bond went dark, I thought genuine fear shadowed his eyes, even as his thumb continued stroking my shoulders. By the time I got to this, he immediately went to spring, dude. Immediately went to spring and vanished. Tamlin was raging through the forest hunting for you, but you hid your scent well, even from him.
Well, she wasn't planning on it.
Well, she wasn't planning him to go to spring, but yep, he was apparently very far away. So obviously, that being said, they kind of decided, but they just talked first.
Yeah.
To be like, okay, yeah, so this, because she's explaining it. She's like, da-da-da happened, the Hybern Royals, whatever, they poisoned me. And he's like, oh, you killed them? Good.
Just casually. Okay, good. Like, not even doubt whether she did or not.
Mm-hmm. So, it has been, if we're thinking about it, it has been probably over like a week and a half since she's left. She asked if Spring got overtaken. And Hybrid has not sacked Spring yet, but Reese said that all of Tamlin's sentries have abandoned him.
Good.
God damn. She is beloved and holy. And that's why they left. And obviously, Jurian apparently went back to Hybern. Ianthe is holed up in her temple, and she is like, yep, that was me.
It's like in her temple, not talking to anyone with a damaged hand? Huh. Wonder whose work that could be.
She's like, must have been the fall.
It's like, oh, I heard she fell.
And obviously that kind of made them a little spicy, because then she like touches his hips and whatever, and it's like, okay. I feel like relationships like that can really go that smoothly. Obviously, yes, I know you're here with me, but it's such a quick change to like, oh, yeah, that was kind of hot.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're here. So then, of course, Cassian let Reese into his mind to see what happened on the lake. I love how he says, Eris was a male of limited days. Now Lucian might finally find himself closer to inheriting his father's throne.
Yeah. I mean, Reese already hated Eris for what he did to Moore, but like, especially probably considering what Cassian saw, like if we're thinking about it from Cassian's point of view, that was probably pretty bad.
I think that's like the worst that she's ever been attacked since Under the Mountain, I think.
I think so.
I would say.
And to see her sound like that.
Oh yeah. He's a dead man walking.
100%.
Which is gonna fucking suck when they have to try to get Baron's port.
Right.
Because they need to get all the High Lord port, obviously.
Right.
I love how okay, don't come at me. But as soon as like I heard the threat, I was like, that was kinda hot. I'm not gonna lie.
I won't come after you for that, because I know you have a particular for protective males. But then again, I understand it.
Yeah. Overprotective male is overly protective.
But not overbearing.
No, because it's Rhysand, but I love how he's like, oh, you declared yourself high late. It's like, I love the comment about him wanting to crow it from the rooftops ever since they got their tattoo.
Almost like imagine him like pouting a little bit of like, I wanted to do it first.
She's like, well, you can go up and squawk, we can go do it right now if you want. He said, there's my darling Faye. He says it like 3 times in this chapter alone. And I'm like, oh my god, we missed it.
It's not even just favorite darling, it's just like my darling Feyre.
I know. Anytime he says darling and Feyre in the same sentence. Though Feyre does cockblock him like right before they start to like actually start kissing for romantic purposes.
Yeah.
Because she's just like, oh, what about my sisters? Which is a valid question.
And
I'm not saying
didn't ask immediately about it.
It was a valid question, but hey, way to ruin the mood. Because he kind of says it in a pouty way. He's just like, they're at the House of Wind. We can go see them if you want.
And the fact Feyre knew that he would take her up there.
I know, if she really wanted to see them. They're fine, man. Like,
she's like, no, I trust you guys.
They've been up there for the last month. What's a few more hours?
Yeah, especially Feyre needs those few more hours to relax.
Oh yeah, and
relax.
But it could be relaxing, is all I'm saying. If he does all the work.
Exactly. I think that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah. So, but before the mood does get there, she's like, so okay, where were you? And then he dodges the question like 3 or so times. She's like, where the hell were you? So I was on the continent above the High Queen's, the Cuman Queen's palace. What? He's like, besides what Hybern might have shown you, I'm capable. She's like, no, fuck no. Why did you go there by yourself?
I mean, she has the right to say that now, as his friend, as his maid, as a high lady of the court as well. Like, she needs to know what her partner is. Like, she has every right to ask him and press him on this kind of stuff.
So he says that it's been deathly quiet ever since Hybern, and that's not really good.
No, that's really concerning.
Especially since, like, wouldn't they have gotten word they got changed or something happened to them or whatever?
They should have found something of what happened with the cauldron and them.
Right. Sorry. I love how my notes went from, oh, it was deathly quiet to, oh my god, here we go, the sex time. I'm a literal child. No, that's not a child. That's a virgin right there.
There you go. That works better.
Here we go, sex time.
It's sexy time.
Okay. So she's got 2 options as their home. Oh, okay, hold on. Sorry. I can't miss this. Let me back up a little bit. I love how he's like, okay, you're finally home. And he like kisses her. Like, I missed you every moment. Your smile, your laugh, your scent, me inside you.
That too.
He is such an awkward male, but like he's also somehow suave at the same time.
Yeah.
He's like, I miss this, and also, inside you. What I'm thinking about right now.
The sounds you make when I'm inside you.
Oh yeah. And he says, I love you. The fact that they can say that openly freely now is just so heartwarming. heartwarming.
It's so beautiful.
I know. So then, of course, I love you turns into, well, you have a choice. So I can either lick you clean with all the blood on her, which...
Gross. I mean, sure, to each their own. He would do it, probably.
I don't think he cares.
He would do it, honestly.
Or she can get a bath.
Yeah.
I think all of us are going to choose the bath, because again, like she said, I agree. It's like, I'd love to see you up to the challenge, but I don't think you want to.
And the fact that, well, of course, she was in battle, so she has, like, a bunch of sweat and blood on her. On top of that, she hasn't really had a shower for the past week and a half.
My wink, wink, my blood, sweat, and tears. Okay, missed opportunity, but I will let it slide this time. He was actually disappointed.
Yeah, because he's like, is that a challenge? And, like, he was disappointed that she wouldn't let him take the challenge.
Oh, he wanted to rise to the occasion. He's also rising to the occasion. Weird enough, he snaps all the dirt away, which she's like, okay, why do I need cleaning then? Because we've seen this a couple times before. We saw it, like, with Amarin after the beach.
And it happened when he healed her under the mountain.
And the Weaver.
Mm-hmm.
He, like, made that shit. But the thing is, he said the magic cleaning doesn't take away, like, feeling that it was there.
Right. It takes away, like, the physical appearance of it.
But so she actually has to clean it.
Yeah.
Dude, okay. She takes so long taking off her clothes. So he's just standing in the doorway watching. This is one of my favorite scenes of, like, this book, I think, like, in terms of their relationship.
I literally have this page bookmarked in my Kindle.
Yeah. God, how much I have highlighted in here.
Yeah.
She takes a long time and savors taking off her clothes, has a boner watching her, which, if he didn't, I would be offended.
The sleek, powerful cut of his thighs, his ass.
It's like, okay, girl, pause. I'm gonna pause for just a moment. For real, though. I know we're gonna be, we joke about it and we have these squealy moments of fangirling, but, like, the idea of this is pure romance to me. The idea of taking off your clothes in front of somebody and having them look at you like that with so much love, but also so much sex appeal, is something that I want in real life.
You have the entire attention.
And I don't think that that's something that, I think that's one of her moments at SJM's good writing that is realistic.
Yeah.
I want somebody who, the idea that I'm sexy to somebody else is, and that I find them sexy, whether or not, like, they're other types or whatever.
Yeah.
Or not that he's, like, a sexy high lord. He could just be, Joe Smo down the street. The idea that you love somebody that much that, like, it pulls your attention that way.
And keeps your attention.
So that's, I think, why it made me cry. Because I was like, oh, I've never felt that way. I mean, I haven't been in too many situations where I'm, like, taking off my clothes, but I will say, definitely never had the idea of, like, somebody looking at me like that. So...
You've never had the feeling of wanting to devour someone?
No, have you?
No.
Not ever somebody that I've met before.
Only
Maybe
one.
a couple of...
someone I've met before. It was not reciprocated.
I've never had it reciprocated, but I've also never looked at somebody like that.
That's valid.
Anyway, sorry. I thought you were implying JK, and I was like, wait, never. I was like, obviously, yes.
I mean, obviously, yeah.
I just wanted to pause because I think sometimes when people read, like, anybody can take these books however they want, but this is what, and I think this is what I bring up in our mom's episodes every time, is that that's what I love about it. Is that, yeah, it's fantasy. We know that a lot of it's fake and da-da-da, but at the root of it, it's actually pretty inspiring.
It is.
To have that kind of relationship.
That's why our standards are so high.
I know. But they're validly high. They're not high, they're standard, which most people don't have any.
Valid. Their bar is way too low.
Yes. I think anybody who says somebody with high standard, like, unless they're just pure shallow, which obviously isn't us, but only somebody who says, oh my god, you have high standards, is just because they don't have any.
Yeah, usually. But also it feels like, I mean, obviously I'm not hating on everyone who says they have high standards, but it seems like a lot of, like, the shallow high standards are like, oh, they have a big dick, or they have money, or, like, shallow things like that. What about having someone who looks at you with so much love?
Yeah, how about having personality and or actual love in the relationship?
Right.
So obviously, as we get back into it, he's watching her take a bath, and, she's lingering, and he, like, in the dialogue, it says he's sounding more and more, not tired, but tight, if that makes sense. Rough and quiet. Because what else does he say? It was, I love how he's like, you're taking too long, but it's like very, like, you're taking too long.
He is ready to pounce.
I will say, every time this happens, I think it's dumb that they're washing off just to then have sex.
Yeah.
Because wouldn't you want to wash up? Wait.
No, I don't think so.
You wouldn't wash off after sex?
Well, yeah, but, like, I can understand washing for sex.
Well, in this instance, yes.
Well, yeah, but, like, I think suppose it depends on like the moment, like if it's like a sudden spur of the moment or anything. But like I would agree with at least a quick like wash off before.
Okay.
Cleansing the palate.
Well, also, I don't really know much about sex hygiene because so I just thought it was a little dumb. But anyway, this one made sense. So here are my Tabi sexy time highlights. I mean, obviously, like they have sex now.
Yep.
Instead of like going through every beat per beat moment, because I don't think anybody wants to hear us talk about sex for that long.
Besides, you can go and read the book.
Yeah, like obviously it's, we're doing this as an overall instead of very, specific. But I love how like she's like, I'm all clean and whatever, and devouring, looking at each other. I love the lingering touches to start. Like he's such a tease.
He is. He's like, where do I start?
It's like, I love how though she is hilarious that she's like, ready for ravishing. Like
ready for ravishing.
It's like they don't come out with it's like it even says in the book, it's like it didn't come out with a swagger. Like that's how I would say it. Just like, I'm ready for everything, okay? Yeah, so like he's just touching her. He's like, oh, where do I begin? She's like, or here, whatever. But she's like done with the teasing. So when he says, I think he says like, Feyre darling, where shall I begin, Feyre darling? She's like, I had enough playing, you're mine.
Oh.
He immediately takes, like he magic takes off his clothes. She knew that would be his undoing, so that's she's like, okay, enough playing. Let's just get on with it.
He like remembered from their first time like how much it unraveled him. She's like, okay, how do I make him like start this? You're mine.
Hell yeah, baby. I love how his wings popped out because he wants to
wings with her.
He wants to remind her that why another way about how important she is is that he has them out when he's with her, and he feels comfortable.
Yeah, he trusts her
having them there 100%. And also, where are those positions we can get? We said that last book, Reese. We need to see more of that this time.
Yes,
we need to see more. Dude, wartime has more sex, guaranteed.
Yeah,
because they never know when they're gonna die, bro.
You gotta have sex all the time.
I also like. I mean, obviously, the court insignias for seeing his knees again. But this one, there is no. It's slow. He has sex with her slow because obviously, like, there's no foreplay. He doesn't like go down on her, fingers her, or anything. It's literally just okay. I'm in.
Literally.
Which I feel okay. I'm not gonna delve too, but obviously there's a difference in that than how it would before, because now we're not taking our time. It's very much I just want to be inside you.
Yeah, needs to feel the connection.
Yeah. So obviously, you're mine, and then it's like, well, I'm yours as well, which was cute. And obviously they're finished because I think my dad brought up something that I wanted to tell you that was hilarious. That was like, in any book, movie, they always make it seem like it lasts like 2 seconds, when obviously we know that it's probably longer. Like, if but you can't have a 10-minute or actually 30-minute that would just be porn at that point,
right?
Like, you need to see the highlight, bro. The highlights are what matters. So then they're like tangled up in each other afterward, and this nice. He's still inside her though, which you have brought up. It's like, what did you call it? It's like when he's still. Say that again?
I don't know if that's what I said before.
Yeah, it was cock warming. Yeah,
okay,
that's what you said. Yeah, which I mean, that's a way.
Realistically, though, it's not very common. It doesn't act like you may like fall asleep with that kind of thing, but it won't stay like that.
Well, yeah, obviously it won't.
It doesn't, but the thought is there.
Well, he's also probably hard the whole time though, but that's just like the immortal Fae.
That's true.
Blood
it's
going
also potentially different with Fae cock.
Oh my god, bro. I love how it's explicit. You just say whatever the hell you want, which is so great. That's what she says too. She says it the same way.
She does. I will say, as I've like read the books though, like I've gotten used to the idea of, actually saying cock. Like I remember we talked about it. Sorry to keep interrupting. We talked about our first read through of like how I was surprised by the explicitity of how to call it rather than just length or member. Like just so specific about it. But like now it's just like, okay.
And I think whatever people think about it being crass, or I mean, if you like that we're explicit, thank you. I mean, I think the reason we want it to be is that I feel like there's this stigma in society that, especially when women talking about sex, it's like, oh, they can't be crass, or there's an overall stigma against talking about it in a, I don't know, direct way. And so I like that. And I told you this when we first read these books. When I first read, it empowered me as somebody to not think of it as a bad thing. Or, oh my God, we can't talk about that. Like, obviously, I'm not going to bring it up on Sunday dinner. There's a time and a place. But it made me feel better about talking about it with somebody that I was comfortable with, that it wasn't just to myself.
Yeah.
Me comfortable talking about a sex scene with you actually made me more comfortable in, like, that made sense.
Yeah, and like being able to, since we've learned to like talk about sex scenes, it's no longer an uncomfortable subject, because if one person isn't going to reject us from it, like the one person that we're comfortable with, then that's fine. Who cares about everyone else?
Well, yeah, because I feel like I had that, we both had that instance of where we'd want to talk, and not even in a crass way of we're talking about it now, but just asking questions, feeling like we were comfortable. Nobody wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom was probably the only one who was comfortable talking about it.
Yeah.
And I feel like your mom is kind of cool in that way too.
Yeah, I think
everybody else in society.
He's slowly getting more used to the fact that I'm more comfortable with it.
Yeah, which I guess in a parent-daughter situation I understand, but also you're supposed to go to your parents about some things, especially like your mom, probably not dad, but that you're supposed to, like, I'm not going to tell about her about every sexual encounter I've had, but if I have questions, who am I supposed to go to? You know, I think that's how like fucked up like sex ed has gone. Sorry, I'm on a soapbox now. This book empowers people to talk about it versus like everybody else wanting to make it seem like some gross thing, which I mean, kind of it is, but it's not gross when it's love to me.
Or even if it is, it doesn't matter to you because it's love.
Oh yeah. Also, you know what? If you want to have like what is it, hookup culture? Again, I don't want to be a part of hookup culture, but if somebody wants to be, like, go ahead, man. It's your prerogative. Anyway, I love this end paragraph that ends the chapter, which ends the episode for us. I love it about how he's talking about this, about what we were just saying. He says, I missed you. Every second, every breath. Not just this, he said, shifting his hips for emphasis. Dragging a groan from deep in my throat, but talking to you, laughing with you. I missed having you in my bed, but I missed having you as my friend even more. Aww.
That's why it's so sweet that they were friends first.
That's real love right there.
Yeah.
And they also promise each other not to ever be separated for that long again. Never again.
Yeah.
Which you can't really promise that.
No, you can't.
But I get the sentiment.
There.
Realistically, you can't promise that. But I like that.
Yeah.
A lot. And I think that is a testament to Reese's character. That obviously, yes, you miss somebody as a lover, but I also just miss you.
As a person.
Your
as
company.
a friend.
That's so... Oh my God. It's so cute. So great. I love, honestly, out of all, at least the first part of this book, I mean, I think everything after this, I feel like this was so epic because this was the reuniting. Now everything else is going to be epic, but this was epic because we were waiting for it.
Yeah.
Anticipating it. And she did not disappoint.
No, she did not.
SJM did not disappoint with this reuniting.
Nah.
So I'm so happy that was, so that's the end of our deep dive section for today.
So now we're moving on to our second section where we talk about the graphic audio. So welcome to Tally's Corner. Take it away, Tabby.
Girl. Okay, I apologize to everybody in advance. This graphic audio was hot, amazing, spot on at every moment.
I have not listened to this section yet, but I will very soon.
So I'm giving Liesl the lowdown of what she's going to have to endure.
You mean what I get to endure?
Yes, what you get to, yeah. You know, I always love the graphic audio, but I think that, again, like I've said before previously, is that Akatar is just the best graphic audio I have listened to. Again, the other graphic audios are good. This one trumps everything. And this section had so many actiony bits and they didn't disappoint me. So if we start at the top, back to chapter 9, after the whipping scene, I mean, right off top, the music change under Feyre's monologue when it said Ianthe wasn't done, the sheer, like, badness, the bad, eerie music as she's talking about everything Ianthe has done was so cool.
That's
so
scary.
cool. It was, because now Ianthe, that was like Ianthe taking control back.
Right.
Because she lost it.
Right.
And obviously, you know, Melody did a great job in that monologue. Obviously, everything else in that scene was, up until the Lucian Ianthe scene, everything was pretty standard. Dude, I already saw red when reading the Ianthe scene when I read it. But hearing it, especially with Gabriel's acting, and also I have to know what the Ianthe actor is. Again, they don't have a cast list, guys. This kind of sucks. Only the main people we can see, so we don't know who did Ianthe. We'd have to, like, sleuth it out. So again, apologies to that actor, but
incredible job, probably.
making me hate her.
Good job on making us hate your character.
It made me see red because of two reasons. The whole first back off and the way Gabriel said, "Don't touch me."
Ooh.
It was devil to the way of that it was, he kind of seemed scared.
Ooh.
And it just made me want to get up, like, which makes it so much easier for Feyre to act.
Yeah.
Because it's also just, that's a vulnerable scene to be in anyway. So obviously that made it seem way, oh my god. And then of course the handbraking scene. Oh my god. The constant thump in the back.
Did you hear
while
like
Feyre's
cracking?
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
100%. And the whole it was silent. No music, nothing in the background, just melody and the breaking.
Wow.
And it was hard. It was good. It was cool.
It hit hard.
Melody's darkness when talking was, it reminded me of back in that moment when they were with Rhysand and Lucian in the woods in the Illyrian Mountain. It reminded me of that voice, and it was so cool. So cool to hear it. I think the music came back in when Dagnan and Brandon showed up.
That would make sense.
But it was kind of, again, it was like down low, so it wasn't, a lot of, I was like, hot damn. I was like, that just made that way more brutal than even the book made it. Overall, so if I'm moving on to chapter 10 then, overall the fight scene was cool. Hearing the winnowing noises as the swords went out, fire, hearing every little bit, and then of course like Lucian's like grunt to decapitate Branna, and then the sound, Dagdan's whole like, oh my god, like, or and then her stabbing him was cool as hell. It was just the noises. Like, I felt like I was watching it. But again, like, I wasn't seeing anything. I was just listening.
The movie in your mind.
It was spot on. And then obviously, I mean, there wasn't really much to say till the end of it. I loved the end where we heard Tamlin's roar.
Ooh, that's a cool add-in.
Because it was distant.
Yeah.
But you could hear it. And I think there was like birds or something.
Probably. You could hear that probably from the forest.
It was so cool to hear it because it was from the way it translated from Melody's narration to, God, just hearing the roar. Oh my God. I was like, oh, badass. Here's the start. Here's the start of the end. So then moving on, chapter 11. So the whole adventure with Tamlin and, with Lucian and her. Right at the top, even though it was a hard scene, I love the way they talk. Like, Gabriel and Melody did that really well. Where, how do I say? Gabriel started out like an ass. Like, it was really good. Lucian's, kind of talking to her, oh, you planned this? But Melody's calmness of just, yeah, yes.
Yes, I did. Good job for figuring that out.
So, like, there was tension, but at the same time, there started to become more of an understanding. I loved the hiking sounds. When they were hiking, it was at the, sorry, that's a very much forward, but I loved them hiking up the mountain at the end of the chapter before they get caught.
Is it similar to how Feyre and Rhys were climbing up the prison?
Yeah, because Gabriel and Melody both, they kind of, actually, funny enough that you bring up the panting thing during our main part of our episode. Gabriel did that. He was like, how are you not winded? And it was so funny. And she's like, I trained.
Clearly. Like,
Feyre is all good while Solution's a little panting. And yeah, it was very much like that. I could hear like the wrestle as they're climbing. I think the other one, I didn't actually put this in here. I missed this, but them fishing, I love the sound. Like, because in the grand scheme of things, that paragraph doesn't really mean much, but I mean, it was bonding, and I kind of loved how silent it was.
That's sweet.
Just hearing the sounds of the river and then like a hand in the water. And I did like at the end of the chapter after the hiking and when they were in the cave, I loved the very abrupt shift. Because again, it goes from, if we remember from the deep dive, she's like in Lucian's mind and then all of a sudden she wakes up with Eris' hand on her mouth.
Yeah.
I liked the abrupt shift.
I loved that. Eris put a hand on her mouth. Like, he could have just woken her up.
He just wanted to touch her, I think.
Ugh.
Just prove that he was above her or whatever.
Gross.
So yeah, I loved, because obviously the music tension, the struggles, the sound of them struggling was good. Girl, don't bite my head off, but kind of in the same vein as Jurian. Eris's voice actor is also, he's a dick. His voice actor is very sexily sound.
Do you have a type or something?
Okay.
Do you like the jerk dicks that have hot voices?
Okay.
I'm listening.
I like a deep sounding voice. Did you know I'm into basses, bro?
I know.
So I obviously like he sounds like a dick though. I'm not saying that in the same way that he was like a sexy like Jurian. It was more like his voice just sounds pretty. Yeah, it's kind of hard to explain, but I think you'll know what I mean when you listen to it. Like, it still grinds my gears when I hear him. There's definitely kind of a level of, okay. I would never, but
you would.
If you were nice, if you were a good person, I'd totally hit that. So props to that guy, props to that voice actor. He was spot on cast. He definitely gave me I don't give a fuck about other people vibe, like the I'm above, like in his tone just alone.
Okay.
The cave-in sound was cool because you hear the fire, but then you hear like the rocks.
Yeah.
And then struggling with it, and then they're coughing.
Yeah, from the dust. Yeah.
It was a lot of it was more detail than I thought they'd actually give it. I think that's why it exceeded my expectation. Because obviously when you think about one of these books, like you think it's just going to be, oh, they're different voices, there's going to be some occasional sound, some occasional music, but no, it's full-blown thinking about what a cave-in would sound like and being like, okay, what would it sound like?
Yeah, the folly.
So it was very well done. Then moving on to when they were climbing up into the winter court, not only were the snow sound, the blizzard sound was cool, but it was the acting too. Them like shivering, pretending like they're, cold.
Were their teeth chattering?
Oh yeah.
Good.
Because, okay, I know that sounds dumb to say, but most people don't think about it. Like, it didn't sound fake to me.
That's good. That's acting.
Like, obviously, they're actors, but I'm just saying, as I'm thinking about this, listening to the graphic audio for the first time, I didn't know how actory they were. Right. I thought they were going to half-ass it, and they were just going to be like, oh, pretend to act. No, they're full-blown acting it, which I should have at this point realized. Then, again, I was still surprised.
Which is good, that it can continue to surprise you.
Right. And I never brought this up before, but this happened a couple times during the graphic this time, and I never really mentioned it. I love when they use Lucian's eye noise. Because whenever they talk about like his eye whirled or something, like there's a mechanical sound.
I've noticed that, yeah.
And I never really brought it up before, but I love that.
It is a cool sound.
It's just another added extra that they didn't necessarily need to put in there, but
they did.
It kind of gives the aesthetic better. So obviously that was cool. And then of course the end, the music changing for this very da-da-dun, very fast-paced music to like, oh shit. I gotta shout out our boy Gabriel. His acting for this fight scene was like spot on. The whole running, the sounds he made, sounds so fucking stupid. The grunts, like, okay, the fighting grunts, you know what I mean?
Yes, I know. You emphasizing on it just where your mind was going, not mine.
My mind wasn't going anywhere, okay?
Yeah, you tried to think where my mind was going and it wasn't there yet, but now it certainly is.
Moving on. We totally respect them. But also I gotta tell them when they're hot too. Like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat. Okay.
I mean, of course, that's what the cauldron would want you to do.
True. So we didn't really bring this up during the main, but it's kind of like more of an auditory thing so I didn't bring it up. But when Feyre gets shot with the arrow in her arm, she lets out a roar. And this time it's not like a roar of pain, it's an actual animal roar.
Interesting.
And I was like, oh, she's full on beast mode now.
I mean, I suppose it is kind of the first time she's been shot with a ash arrow.
Yeah.
Or cut even with an ash arrow. Or ash something. So maybe like she's now realizing how much ash hurts.
I think it's also like trying to show how she accepts herself as something not human anymore.
Yeah.
She's finally like high fae now.
Right.
So I loved that. That was perfect. Girl, the music, the entrance was damn perfect. I was in tears listening to this. Oh my god. Because like you just hear this big thud, like earth-shattering thud. And then of course John Rotullo, Cassian, the growl he admitted, and then I suggest you put my lady down. Dude, I squealed when hearing Cassian again. I was so hyped.
We haven't heard
because again,
book.
Yeah, we haven't heard, and again, as we were preparing for this, we haven't heard him in like weeks.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my god. I squealed so bad, like way worse than I'm squealing now. I'm home alone this weekend, and so I got to squeal all I wanted, so I was just like, oh. It's a testament to his acting that he's just Cassian for me now. Such a small moment, but, and I want to know if pick up on, because I feel like you'll hear it, but I didn't notice this the first time. When she says stop, and Azriel and Cassian come to her side, there's a detail in there that says where Azriel flicked his blade clean, and you hear it.
Ooh.
They even put that in there where like you hear the sound of the blade.
That is cool.
And I'm like, and I was like, okay, yeah, that was the one time where I went, ooh, Azriel, hell yeah.
A guy that respects his weapon.
Girl, I know what you meant. I'm not saying I took it that, but it's the way you said it. Okay. So be on the alert for that. By the way, as we get into chapter 14, I have never had this many graphic audio notes for a chapter before, so bear with me. Well, because I didn't start writing the graphic audio notes, I think, until after chapter 55, so I would have had layers on layers of notes for that one, so...
I'm actually only just looking at this now. Holy shit.
Okay, so as we're beginning chapter 14, I mean, obviously, the flying was cool. I mean, I've said that before. It was such a cool moment hearing all their voices together again. Like, it really did warm my heart, because I was like, it's a testament to their ensemble that I kind of felt that way with their voices. Because we were supposed to be feeling that way with them in general, because we're seeing the inner circle again. I got that with their voices just the same. And I was like, oh, that's like a perfect cast to me.
Yeah.
And then, God fucking damn it, I squealed so I squealed for a whole minute, guys, whole minute, when I heard the "Indeed She Is" from Anthony. God, it was the fact that it was also, it came in, there was okay, I'm trying to find a way to say this. It's like he was walking into the room. Audio did that too. It wasn't just a clear "Indeed She Is." It's like it started out low and then came in. It's like, "Indeed She Is." So much love was poured into that one line. We should have said that. We should have told him to say that. It's okay. I can get him to do a cameo. Because he has those, like that cameo website where you can tell him to say things. I feel like that's so dangerous, though, with him. Because I feel like he probably has gotten some weird-ass requests that he wouldn't do.
Probably.
But, holy shit, it was so cute. The music, when Feyre crumples at the sight of him, oh my god. Teared up. I mean, I was already in tears by this point, but it was so sweet. Because it was like this salvation sound.
I think, because I typically think in pictures anyway, but like specifically when she crumples, I meant to say this earlier, like that was definitely a moment where I visualized it very clearly of her like just falling to her knees, hands over her face, and like Reese rushing to her of like, no, it's okay.
And they're the only people there. They're not worrying about everybody else.
They feel comfortable
beautiful
to be together around everyone else. I'm excited to hear that part.
And the whole "my love." Okay, stop it. Anthony, just stop being fucking sweet.
But at the
now
same
that we're
time,
back,
being fucking sweet.
I know, because he's, oh my god. The shifts in tone from like their conversation going from him saying, oh, when Anthony talks about Bond, he sounded like his voice stuttered. Or like gutted, I feel like. It's like when the Bond, oh, baby, to then being like, killed him? Good. It's like, holy shit, you're giving me whiplash, but I'm here for it.
Good whiplash.
Oh, okay. This was such a small fucking thing, but I don't remember where it was exactly. I'd have to look it up, but he like nips at her fingertips or something, and I heard him like go, like I heard,
wow.
I heard like the teeth nipping, and I was like, girl, fucking stop.
Just like, good sir.
Not on this Christian Minecraft server.
Probably on that Christian Minecraft server.
No, we would. Yeah, no. We are not claiming to be saints. Dude, I tightened up at that. I was like, the fuck? I was like, ooh. Okay. So then I think the first time he kisses her, so when he talks about like your smile, your laugh, whatever, there was like a sexy music shift, which I was like, okay, sound director, whoever that was. Because like you hear him kiss like each like part where it says.
Clever.
And it starts out, very sweet, like smile, laugh, and then when he said the "me inside you," I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to survive this chapter. Do you know how many times I listened to this backwards? I'm not gonna sugarcoat a damn thing.
I'm gonna guess 37 times.
Definitely not that many, but 3 or 4 maybe.
Only 3 or 4? I'm surprised.
Well, I needed to get to bed, so where Rhysand was in my dreams, but okay. I thought, okay, this I really want you to hear, because this was hilarious. Melody did a really funny thing. I love Melody Muses. She does other books as well, and so her narration, I've never gotten tired. So this made me laugh out loud. So when he says, oh god, I remember, it's the ravish line, where he said, oh, where I ravish you wholly or something. I think in the text it says Feyre like laughs. It was kind of like a specific line, but Melody went like, like she's taken aback by it. And so, okay, that was a bad way to, definitely didn't sound like that, but it was more of like a
that gives me vibes of the whole gasping in the broom closet.
Yeah, it sounds like I would do. And that's why it made me laugh for like 2 minutes. I had to pause the audio and I'd just be like, oh my god, why the fuck is that me? Especially because it kind of gave the whole idea of we haven't seen each other in a while, so like I'm being swept away by his beautifulness and his words.
Getting swept away all over over again.
And it's like,
That is something you would do.
That was fucking hilarious. Totally to her, man. It does remind me of the broom closet. Again, those moments of comedy. I love how they even do it in the graphic.
Mm-hmm.
The sexy music in the back got me a couple times where I was listening to it where I was like, wow, this is very powerful.
Mood music.
Okay, they're really wanting this to happen. Without going into everything like sex related, I mean, it was snaps all around. Every moment, the teasing, the breaths, the whatever, the whole "you're mine" claim was damn good. The only thing I have to say that during the sex that I loved was the "never again" line that he said during the sex.
Yeah.
That was so raw. Oh my god, you need to highlight that whatever in the graphic that he like it was very, I don't know how to describe it, but it was very much like "never again." Something like that. It was like a promise, but also it was pleading. It was so multifaceted. I was like, god damn it. Like, why? I swept away.
Oh,
but
I'm excited to hear
then of course, lastly, I love Anthony's whole the emphasis on, I loved the not just this for emphasis.
Yeah.
Sorry, that doesn't make any sense.
Well,
I was having yes, when you heard him like moving his hips inside of her, and then she goes, I was having a ball listening back to that because it was funny. Like, obviously what he was saying was so raw and good, but like that he kind of had a ball with that. He's like, not just this. It's like, okay, we get it. You're good in bed. Oh my god. I feel like, okay, this is gonna sound really bad, but I feel like anybody who has to, like, any actor has to do like a sex scene. I feel like whoever they're with, or who, I feel like there's people, not just who they're with. Sorry, let me scratch that. There's this level of, I feel like with every actor, it doesn't have to be a sex scene, doesn't have to be necessarily a romance scene, but just like them being flirty puts this high expectation on them for that's how they are in real life, when very much on, at least for me personally, couldn't be far less from the truth. I can act a very sexy scene and do it really well and know full well that when I'm out of character and when I'm Tabitha, that is all just fucking facade.
Hence the acting.
So, which again, most people don't, they can't separate it. That's why I'm bringing it up, because I feel like when I talk about their sex scenes, it's not because I'm like I know it's acting, but I also know how to separate it and be like, okay, they're also themselves out of character. But I can appreciate when they are in character because I'm just like, damn, made me feel.
In the field.
But I'm also not going to sugarcoat, hey, you did that sex scene well. High five. That's how my thought process is, because I know I'm not taking it in a weird way.
Right.
But of course, like I told Anthony and Henry and Gabriel, like I'm not gonna not blush at their voices, but that's also my straight ass loving a dark toned man. Like they're just in the wheelhouse, so they're kind of fucked.
Yeah, their voices, all three of them fit your type.
Yeah, and yeah, like everybody else. But yeah, so that was the graphic audio portion, man. That was it for me.
Insane. That was a lot of notes for that last chapter, but valid, completely valid.
It's because I've never written notes like this before, because again, we didn't like switch up how we were doing things. So this has probably been the longest one. So I'm glad. But I'm happy. Thank you all for listening. This was definitely a favorite episode of mine so far, even though we're only 2 episodes in. But I loved this section.
Yeah.
And there's so more to come. So again, before we're changing things up back to kind of how they were in the last season, but except we won't be having interviews this time. So we're having a mini spoilery episode next episode. So we won't be back on for chapters for another 2 weeks then. So yeah, we're going to be talking about the fall of a corrupt court. That's what it's titled. So mini episode is next. So we'll see most of you in probably the episode 3, the main, where we'll be talking about chapter 15 to the end of chapter 18. Again, thank you all so much. Like, I really appreciate all the support. Patreon is now live. So again, if you want to see those benefits, it'll be early access to the episode, video access, and some other Discord community things. So yeah, please go and look at that, and please invest if you can, or if you're able. We would really appreciate it. Please again, follow, review, follow our Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Am I missing anything? Do you want to say anything to the people before we leave?
If you have any requests or suggestions for stuff, definitely reach out. I mean, we always say it at the end of each episode of always reach out to us. We love hearing from everyone, but we're always looking to try new things
Yeah, someone will eventually. Yeah, so we'll see you guys all in the next episode. We hope you have a good rest of your day.
Yep.
Bye, guys.
Bye.